What is good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to the stream. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I do appreciate that. We've got some interesting, funny, bombastic, awesome, questionable, all sorts of news to go over today. So I'm super excited to go over that news. I finally got my Costco membership. So shout outs to dried mango. Finally affordable dried mango. You go to the regular stores, it'll cost you $5.99 for a small little bag. Now I can get a big old huge bag for $20. Let's go. I'm very excited for Costco for organic Costco mango. Yes, sir. Very excited about that. I love your original title for today's video. Yes, the original title was funny. But I had to change it because of some complications with the advertising. Calling it BS. So I had to change the title because advertisers were looking at it like, we're good. So I was like, all right, I'll change the title. Calm down. But yeah, the video stayed the same. In terms of the video was the same. But I might change it back. Who knows? Maybe once they actually filter it and they leave my video alone, then I can say, okay, I'll change it back to the original title. So we'll see. Or maybe I'll change it back tonight. Maybe I'll change it back tonight. So what's good to everybody? Let's say what's up to everybody here. We got shout outs to go through. And then we'll talk about the news and the gaming. Dior is here. What's up, Dior? Welcome. Speaking of changing titles, that's one thing we're going to be talking about. Did you know gaming today? But they changed their title for a completely different reason that I changed my title. Or that I changed the title. Dior is here. Party Man is here. Jake is here. Just Another Artist is here. Dr. Birdie is here. General Zamora is here. Warfare is here. Welcome. Jax G, Jax AG, Red Maid Zero, Juice Music. What up, Juice Music? Inferno Lycan, Elias, J Will presents. What up, J Will? J Will, if you can send me a picture of that Switch 2 that you won, that would be great, so I can post it on Twitter. Yo, you don't gotta show yourself. You just gotta show the Switch 2 yourself and just, you know, like a thumbs up or something. Not even a thumbs up. Just show the Switch 2 itself. Say, yo, man. If you can send that to me, that'd be great. What's up, party man? What is good? Justin! What up, Justin? Film Watcher 96, David Dampier, Party Man, Kurt World, General Zamora, Ego Maniac. What up? Cheeky. So, let's get real before we get into the actual games for this year. Let's get into the Did You Know Gaming stuff, and I'll probably have to repeat it because other people will be coming in. But first of all, I want to just say this. First of all, shout outs to King Tree Freak with the 47 months of tune in tier pledge. Thank you so much. I love Did You Know Gaming. Did You Know Gaming is probably my favorite, like, old school / favorite channel. That's like a small team of people. I love I finished the video game. I love that channel. But those are kind of like my favorite channels, you know. Yo, what up, Hyper Bison? Those are kind of like my favorite channels. Oh, is that Creosin Bomb? I think that's you, Creosin Bomb, right? And Did You Know Gaming is awesome. Literally, they're goated, and everybody's changed titles before. I just found it funny in relation to the Switch 2, you know. So I just found it funny. So real quick, I'll just say it, and then we can discuss it. We can discuss other gaming news or whatever else you guys want to talk about, random stuff. But a little bit ago, like I think around right before the Switch 2 launched, Did You Know Gaming put out a video that I actually liked. It was constructive criticism. It was talking about Nintendo's prices throughout the years and how much money they make now compared to back then, and basically saying they're greedy in like the nicest way possible. Like, this is a greedy ass company in the nicest way possible, just by going back, looking at different stuff and saying, you know, whatever. But the original title name for the video was called this. It was called Did You Know Gaming. Well, that's the name of them. Did You Know Gaming? That's the channel. But it was called Price Hikes Could Cost Nintendo Big Time. That was so, I mean, it is a question in there, like, hey, maybe, but that was the title of the video. Price hikes could cost Nintendo big time. So it kept that title, and the only reason why I noticed the change is because I was looking at Did You Know Gaming today. I was watching Doc Trey's video, and then I saw their video. I had already seen it, but then it popped back up like in my algorithm, like to watch again or to whatever. And I'm like, why is this video coming back up? But I'm like, is that a different video? Because I looked at the title, and I'm like, no, that's the same video. So now the title of the video was stealth changed. They changed the title to Will Switch 2 Fail Long Term? And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Just straight up. It's like, wait a minute, okay. Obviously it's not costing them now. Let's just change this ish up, and then maybe we'll be right later. I couldn't believe it. And then it also adds, will Switch 2 fail long term? Historical context. So hey, you know? I found that to be hilarious. I found that to be absolutely hilarious that they would change the title because they were clearly wrong. Now, if you look at the video, like I said, the video's good, with the exception, like, it's a very good video looking at the historical, you know, amount of money that Nintendo possibly made or whatever, and adding up some things and looking at, like, you know, older systems. But there's a couple areas where it doesn't make sense. They're talking about how great the prices were and all that in the GameCube era, and in eras where Nintendo failed. So they're saying the prices could cost them big time. They had better prices back then and they flopped. And there's been systems that have flopped with fantastic prices. So that didn't make sense. Like, they've had cheap prices like GameCube, and that flopped like a fish. Wii U had cheaper prices, right, for games and stuff. That also flopped like a fish. You know, they had a price drop for the system almost right away, dropping it from $350 to $300. It still flopped. So there was some problems with saying, oh, well, prices are the reason. Like, they were looking at prices a lot. They really didn't factor in other things like great marketing, you know, like actual desirable hardware, you know, things like that, like actual system power. These things weren't factored in. It was just, we're going to look at prices. We're just going to really look at prices. That's it. And I don't think that's the only thing you should look at when factoring in if a system's going to do well or not, or saying if it's going to do well or not. That's not the only thing you should factor in. Clearly, that's not the only thing, because Nintendo's had plenty of great price stuff and it doesn't sell well. Like, 3DS was priced better than the Nintendo Switch, and Switch blew 3DS out of the water. Like, 3DS was definitely priced way better between the 2DS, and between the games only being $40, Nintendo Switch games that were more expensive blew 3DS clearly out of the water. So I think that's one of the first problems with the video. The next problem in terms of what happened with the video, at least in my opinion, when it comes down to it, is that it doesn't factor in that Nintendo had portable hardware plus home console hardware. It only factors in, like, home console for the most part, and one at a time. It doesn't factor in Nintendo fans in the past would be spending up to what they even spend right now. You want Smash Brothers Wii U? $40. You want Smash Brothers, or sorry, $60. You want Smash Brothers Wii U? $60. You want Smash Brothers for 3DS? $40. You're spending $100 on the game. You want Mario Kart 7? That'll be $40. You want Mario Kart 8? That'll be $60. You're spending $100. So it didn't factor in the fact that Nintendo does not have two systems anymore, and they only have one when it comes down to it. So people can just say, okay, well, I'm just buying this, and that's, yeah, it's a bit more expensive, but that's what I'm buying. So if parents could afford a 3DS and a Wii U, or a DS and a Wii or whatever, they can probably just say, okay, you get one system, it does both, right? It's not that much of a difference, especially if you're using an inflation calculator, which they failed to line that up. They were just doing one at a time, which you can't do that because back then Nintendo used to run it simultaneous. So I think that's the reason why they were thinking that the system was probably going to start off very slow and it wasn't going to be great starting off. That's the vibe that I got from the video. Once again, there's very good points in the video looking at the historical context of the sales and things like that. However, it doesn't factor in marketing. It doesn't factor in marketing. It does not factor in how well marketed something is or how desirable something is, Switch is desirable. It's something that people just want. The brand is strong. It's like the iPhone, obviously not as sells as good as the iPhone, but iPhone, it's like they price it at things and it's like, okay, it doesn't matter. It's iPhone. That's the pricing. People like it. And that's the kind of what's going on with the Switch right now. It's, hey, look, I get a complete system. I get a home console and I get a portable. It's just strong enough to do both. I get both of those. There's not two versions of games. I get one version of a game and I'll just buy what I want, you know? So, and also, I think the general family and the consumer at this point has realized that, yes, prices have went up for everything, you know? Looking at GameCube and looking at Super Nintendo and or looking at Wii U, those were decades ago. You can't always just say, oh, well, families back then. I mean, they didn't buy a lot of GameCube, didn't sell a lot back then either. Game Boy Advance didn't sell anywhere near as much as the Switch 1. And Game Boy Advance was, what, $100 at launch? I mean, yeah, obviously, they cut it off short. But the DS and the Game Boy Advance, you know, these systems were way cheaper. Theoretically, they should have sold, DS should have sold 200 million, and the GBA should have sold 170 million, or, you know, based it on just prices alone. And I think that's the thing that the video I think that's where the video, you know, was off base a bit. They segmented it into one system at a time instead of saying, well, wait a minute, if you're a Nintendo fan, you would need, or you would want both of these. And then they also, once again, didn't factor in the fact that Switch is just more popular overall. And I think that's where, and to be fair, they did say that their video could age like milk. They did say that. They did say it could age like milk. But I just found it funny that they changed the title. And I still think it's a good, even with this, I still think it's a good video. And I still think you guys should go out there and watch it. If you haven't seen it, just check out DidYouKnow Gaming. Price hikes could cost Nintendo big time. Watch the video. I think it's actually solid. I think it's a good video, you know? So yeah. Let me get into the shoutouts though. Let me get into more shoutouts here. Let's see here. Juice says, DidYouKnow Gaming just re-res themselves? Not quite a not quite a re-res. Not quite a re-res. Not quite a re-res. You know, definitely a junior re-res. Definitely a junior re-res. A junior re-res. So yeah. It is what it is though. What's good though, guys? What's good? Shout outs to everybody here. Appreciate you guys are doing good. Warfare, what's good? Yak Diesel. Old Manendorf, what is good? Old Manendorf, welcome. DE235, what's good? SVXD, Rescue Squad. The title now is called Will Switch 2 Fail Long Term? Historical Context. But the video title before was called Price Hikes Could Cost Nintendo Big Time. Like I said, that video was posted on, I think, June 1st. So that video was posted going on a month ago. So it was right before the Nintendo Switch 2 launched. Right before the Switch 2 launched. I just found it funny that they changed the title. That's what I found hilarious. Now it's like, oh, well, long-term fail. Long-term fail. I think they thought the system could start off rocky. You know, but that was the vibe that I got from watching the video, you know? That's the vibe I got, at least, you know? So, yeah. Shout out to King Tree Freak. Thank you for the 47 months of membership, man. I appreciate that. Seriously, thank you so much, man. Hey, what's up, Angel Page? Welcome. I discovered this channel from a friend. What's up? Is it Mo Dark Knight? What's up, man? Discovered the channel from a friend. Thank you. I appreciate you coming out. Thank you so much. What up, Nick93? Welcome. Watched the vid twice at work because of the title change. Heard the BS in the intro, but left it on at work. Yeah, I mean, no, like I said, I still think it's a good video, and there's definitely some factual good data in there. I'm not here to hate on DidYouKnow Gaming. Like, I told them, hey, look, you guys are like my favorite channel. They're always going to be one of my favorite channels. I listen to their, 3 hours of video game facts to fall asleep to. I fall asleep, to their videos all the time. Not like because they're bad, because they actually make videos for you to fall asleep to. And they want you to fall asleep because then the runtime keeps on going. So then they actually make more money that way. And I fall for it every time, and that's fine. I want to fall for it. But yeah, I love DidYouKnow Gaming. They're fantastic. I just did find, like I said, it's pretty much universal praise for the video in the comment section. But I just found the title change very funny. They don't really change titles. I don't know DidYouKnow Gaming for a thing like to change their older titles. especially this fast. The fact that they changed it within a month, you know, that was, or yeah, within a month. It'll be a month tomorrow. But I don't know when they changed the title though. They could have changed this a while ago and I didn't notice. I just noticed it today. So yeah. Let's see, OJ, on the last 4 days of Persona 5 Royal, I already have every character, level 99. Nice, let's go. Congrats, man. What's up, Mr. Black? Welcome. Making mountains out of molehills has become the cottage industry for YouTubers since the Nintendo Switch 1. Discussing how YouTube rewards this garbage. I don't think listen, I see what you're saying, Aries, and I don't think you're talking necessarily about DidYouKnow Gaming, but I see what you're trying to say. Like, I see what you're saying with people taking advantage of the, you know, obviously the clickbait and negativity or whatever. I mean, like I said, there's some good constructive criticism in the video. I do like what they said about, you know, trying to total up, like, hey, look, you know, they should have better prices or what. I mean, obviously we all want better prices. We all want stuff to be better. That's not what I'm saying is wrong. And I don't think there's really anything per se like overall wrong with the video. I just think that they didn't factor, which I told them this on Twitter too, by the way. I'm like, I think it's a good video, but you guys did not factor in, like, Nintendo has had 2 systems in the past and the marketing angle to that. They were segmenting it and comparing it one by one. These systems run perpendicular to each other. Like a DS and a Wii ran perpendicular. If you want everything, you would have to pay for the Wii, which would be what, $200, or when it launched $250. The DS would be $150, whatever. So you're gonna be paying $300 something. Now, yeah, you could wait years and years and years and get a price drop. But if you want to experience the games as you go along, right, like a lot of us would spend the $250 for the Wii or the $200 for the Wii, then you'd spend another $150 or whatever for the DS, the DSi, or $159 or whatever the DSi's were and all that. So you're spending $300 something. And then once again, you want the DS game, the DS Mario Kart, that's going to cost you $40. You want the Wii Mario Kart, that's going to cost you $50. So there was 2 versions. So a lot of Nintendo fans were already paying even above what they're paying. Now, yeah, you get 2 games. You know what I'm saying? But they make these very close to each other, right? Mario Kart on the Wii came out in what, 2009 or something like that? 2008, 2009. Mario Kart DS came out what, 2000? Like they're close in proximity. So as like a core Nintendo fan, yeah, you're gonna want both. Like, you're obviously gonna want both, and a lot of people bought both. You know, so I think they didn't factor that in. Now we're like, okay, if you're a core Nintendo fan that bought stuff back then, or got stuff, your parents bought stuff for you back then. If they bought you the DS version, they bought you the Wii version, they bought you, because like, a lot of people had DS and Wii. Like, a lot of people had both. You were spending $80, $90, $100 on the games. Now, like I said, once again, you got both of them, so you can feel, oh, that's better value or whatever the case is, but you can only play one game at a time, you know? So if the Wii version came out, yeah, you bought the DS version, that was great, but you put the DS version away unless you're going out traveling, right? And you need a portable version. Whereas with the Switch, you see the convenience of, okay, well, I just get that one version, and then I get the home console version, I get the portable version, I get it all in one. Now, once again, not the same game, but you don't got to worry about having multiple versions of the same game released, or multiple versions of the same franchise released so close to each other, you know? So I think that's the thing that wasn't factored in. And that's something that's very interesting because not some ordinary gamer, the gamer from Mars, he actually brought that up. I mean, he's not big on Twitter, he's big on YouTube, but he brought that up saying, yeah, like, he looked at the sales and he's like, yeah, I don't think people factored in that we used to have 2 systems and people would buy both systems, you know, and we would pay for whatever both systems, and now people are just, okay, I'll just buy one system and I get everything that I need to get on that one system, you know? The kind of video that hated enough to make people think they aren't a fanboy, riding the wave to hate increased popularity, should have kept the original title. I don't respect it. Yeah, you know what? Listen, I think they changed the title because the title obviously sounds bad now. The price hikes could cost Nintendo big. Clearly, it's not costing them big. So let me give you guys some more context. I live in a very game-heavy part of Central California because it's boring here. You have to travel out just to do anything. And all of my targets got restocks. Got 20, 30 systems each. There's like 4 big targets here. They're all sold out. I just checked. There was one that had like the one that was, I think, Northwest. So it was actually not too far from where I'm at. And they had like 20 or 15 or 20 of them in store. They went down to like 2, then they were gone. You know what I'm saying? So the restocks are coming in and it's continuously selling. So clearly saying that it could cost them big time right now, it's not costing them big time, obviously right now. Now, if you put it like, oh, well, in the future, listen, it could, you know, fail long term, you know, like, but the difference is that as time goes on, the value for the system becomes higher and higher, right? Because it builds the library. So the value of the Nintendo Switch 2 right now is going to be completely different from the value in 1 year. Because the value in 1 year, there's going to be way more games. So it's going to be more worth it than compared to now. So if a system doesn't fail at the beginning, the chances of it failing later, especially a Nintendo system, when it gets way more games and way more support, the chances of that happening are almost, actually, it's never happened in Nintendo history. There's never been a time where Nintendo has had record-breaking sales or huge sales at the beginning, and then it's tapered off towards the end for whatever. I mean, the only thing that you can say would be the Wii. The Wii was kind of like lightning in a bottle. It was really hot at the beginning, and it was hot for about a good 4 years, and then it tapered off, right? It completely tapered off. So maybe you can say that, but they had already sold 100 million systems. So nobody considers the Wii a failure or a long-term failure. They just said, oh yeah, it was hot for a while, but then obviously it looked pretty dated and all that, whatever, you know? But there's no system that I can think of, if you're talking about the gaming industry, that starts really good, breaks records, doing very good, and then, oh, well, long-term it failed. I haven't, there's no system. Never. So yeah, that'd be the thing that I would say with that. That'd be very, very interesting if that was the case. Fastest selling system of all time, but then end up being a failure long term. Like that seems almost implausible. And once again, the value of your system will go up as you get more games. You know, it will get better. People will say, okay, now it's more worth it. Even if the price doesn't go down. It's like, okay, well, there's a 3D Mario. Oh, now I have Smash Brothers. Oh, now there's Zelda. Now there's this. Now there's that. Now I can pick up the system in like 2 or 3 big AAA games that I can be set to play for, you know, a couple months or whatever. So if people are rushing out and buying it right now at this point, the chances of people just saying, oh, screw it, you know, later is very slim. You know, very, very, very slim. I don't see that happening. Let's see here. Yes, I saw the video with Doc Trey handing out seats. I used to be a PS fanboy. I own a Switch 2. I'm thinking of selling my PS5. I wouldn't sell it quite yet if you like third-party games. You know, so yeah. I wouldn't sell it because like you don't know what games. I mean, like I said, unless you're stressed for time and you just want to play Nintendo first party with a few third-party here and there, then I would say, you know, then yeah, you can sell your PS5. But outside of that, I would say no, not yet, because PS5 still gets like every third-party game. You know, big reason. So yeah. OJ, let's run some Mario Kart. If you want to run Mario Kart, you got to be a member. So Ahmed, so you got to be a member. So go ahead and member up, ! Member. Member up, and we can get you in the next Mario Kart. We're doing Mario Kart Monday next week. I thought I was going to be able to, well, I thought I wasn't even going to be able to stream today because I had family obligations, but that got canceled. So I was able to get a stream, but I don't have everything set up for Mario Kart today. So we'll probably see if we can do Mario Kart Monday next time. So yeah, if you guys want to play Mario Kart, get on my friends list, become a member, ! Member, all lowercase. Sign up. It's only $1 to join up on, get in on the Discord, and then we can get in Mario Kart from there. Absolutely. Let's see, before the release, my buddy said he wouldn't get one, and after trying Mario Kart World one time, he said he'll probably get one in a couple years. We'll see. Hey, when's the next Mario Kart session, OJ? Yeah, probably next week. We'll see. We just did one last week, right? So it's probably next week for that one. Hey, what's up, Minato Mario? Welcome. Just the Switch 1 catalog makes the Switch 2 super attractive. Exactly, because you already have a big catalog of games to play. Like, if you think Mario Kart World is too much, that's fine. Like, you can go back and you can pick up any of these games, and a lot of them run better, look better, run better on the Switch 2. Echoes of Wisdom is almost to the line of a remaster, according to Digital Foundry and the people that are playing the game. The bump is massive for that game, like absolutely insane, right? So stuff like Echoes of Wisdom could become launch titles. Obviously, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is so much better. So these are things that people are actually actively doing on the Switch 2. Switch 1 was great, but I think we can all, like literally all these people, everybody, we all complained about the frame rates and resolutions and things like that with Switch 1 games. Like we like Switch 1, but the problem was there, right? Which we all talked about. Now at this point, you get all that stuff. Not every single Switch 1 game, but a lot of Switch 1 games run better now, you know? So that's definitely, once again, like I said, a positive thing. And very attractive for people that are picking it up. So about your 40 hours at the Rido remaster, probably gonna finish it tonight. Nice, congrats. This is my handheld device, the DS, so I've been stuck in the 100% handheld. First DS and PSP. I think Odyssey is close to 4K, 1800p or something like that. Well, it's upscaled. It's native resolution, and they upscale it. I think it was Splatoon has pretty much a pixel match almost for 4K. Playing NBA 2K on Switch 2, but the Switch 1 version, obviously don't think next year's 2K Switch 2 version will be comparable to the Series S as far as graphics and performance. Do I think that? I mean, obviously it'll be better than the Switch 1 version. I've never seen the Series S version, Jack, of NBA 2K. So I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it'll be better, obviously, than the Switch 1 versions of the game. What's up, George? Welcome, man. How you doing today? Welcome to the stream. If those Donkey Kong Bonanza previews come out stellar, then it's going to sell many more. Well, we already know that they did. You can play the game already. People have been able to play the game for a while now. So the previews don't really matter at this point because the direct already sold people on the game. So the previews really don't matter. Honestly, and I'm not trying to say that the previews won't help a little bit, but the game was already sold on the people simply or on the Nintendo Direct for the Donkey Kong Bonanza. So it's not going to be about the previews. Honestly, it's going to be the game was already sold based off that Direct. Paul Gill Network with the first dono of the stream. Hey, yo, thank you for the dollar dono. Just keep up the good work, OJ. Since I'm a bit of a Street Fighter mood, how about some Ken Ultra Street Fighter 2 music? Yes, I got you. Ken Ultra Street Fighter 2. Thank you for the dollar dono coming in. Ken Ultra Street Fighter 2 music. All right. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Let's get your name up on the board, Mr. Paul Gale. Anybody does $1 or more, beat up Mr. Paul Gale Network. Thank you for the support, man. I appreciate that. Let's see. Any 2D platformers excited for on the Switch 2? 2D platformers? I don't know. What's coming up? I haven't thought about that. I think Hollow Knight, but that's, you know, like a 2D, that's like a Metroidvania type of thing, right? So yeah, it's a Metroidvania type of thing. Switch Summer Sale was good. Got me some games on cheap. Nice. Let's go. I watched Switch Force video today, and he hit the nail on the hammer. How we keep getting one negative thing about Switch 2 every day. He's tired of it, and so am I. He said it's not going away, sadly. Once again, I don't really think there's anything to be tired of. Whenever you have a popular... I mean, yes, we're tired of... I'm only tired of the misinformation. I'm not tired of people just simply talking about the system. Talking about the system is what makes the system popular, what makes people buy it. Believe it or not, all negative information doesn't automatically equate to everyone hating something. I think a lot of the negative information or stuff that people put out actually has helped the system do better, believe it or not. Because nothing inherently is uniquely perfect. One quick thing though, I do want to just jog my memory with one more thing, the Did You Know Gaming stuff. One thing that I also didn't think that was accurate with Did You Know Gaming's assessment is they tried to say that because of the prices the way that they are, people are going to opt to buy like an Xbox Series S or like a PlayStation 5 or a Steam Deck or whatever. And I thought that was complete nonsense. Like that was as if those systems just have massively cheap prices and are just... So that's one more thing that I literally just want my Xbox... Nobody's been buying the Xbox Series S. Like, literally, at the time, you could get an Xbox Series S for less than a Nintendo Switch OLED, and people weren't buying those. So I thought that was ridiculous. I just want to put that... I couldn't believe they added that little part in there about that Steam Deck. That thing sold like trash. So what? That thing's so terrible in comparison to other consoles. So
I'm too busy playing games now to care anymore about all the drama.
Yeah, exactly, Justin. I'm just simply talking about a few different things. But yeah, I agree with you. I really only pay attention to it for my job. But outside, I mean, I'm not sitting there watching things 24/7 and all of that. But anyway, yeah, I just found that hilarious that they actually put up a graph with Steam Deck and stuff, as if Steam Deck is some type of big seller, or as if Series S is some type of people are gonna opt to buy those. And like, come on, cut me a break. So that was another thing that I was like, yeah, that's not accurate. That's not right. Oh man, that was not right. Shout outs to Justin. Thank you for the $3 dono. Combo breaks coming in. 4 on the combo board. We got the full extension and stuff tonight, guys. So if we get to 60, we'll get that hour extension. We're at 4 right now. We starting off. Justin with the Hokage and Stream Ninja pledge. I appreciate that, man. Anybody does 3 or more, you can beat out Justin on both boards, or you can time up. Let's go. Shout outs, man. I want to switch too, but I need them to upgrade the battery first. It's going to be really tough to upgrade the battery, Corny Puddle, because if you look at all of the high-powered systems that are out there, what you're getting on high-powered games is about 2 hours. The only way that the battery could be upgraded is if they put a bigger battery. So the battery's going to be bigger. So the system's going to be bigger. The system's already big. So, I mean, they could do a battery upgrade down the line in the future, but chances of that happening or it being significant anytime soon is going to be really difficult. Now, you're comparing it to very low-powered systems in comparison, right? Oh, look at the OLED. Look at the Switch OLED. You're looking at 360p, 540p. You're looking at no HDR. You're looking at pretty low resolutions and textures overall, low file sizes. You're not going to get that type of battery life with a high-powered system. Let me give you another example. Look at all the other portable PCs that are on the market. None of them are going to get you massive amounts of time with AAA type of games. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I get you, Corny Puddle, but waiting and hoping that there's going to be some type of massive improvement to battery life without making the system significantly bigger for high-powered games is probably something that's not going to happen, you know? So I'm not saying that you have to get it right now, but I'm just telling you, do not hold your breath for some type of massive battery upgrade if you're talking about high-power games. Now, could they release a revision that shuffles some things around with energy efficiency and stuff like that? Sure, absolutely. That can definitely be a thing. But the chances of it being significantly better, like we saw with low-powered devices like a 3DS or a PSP or whatever like that, or like a Switch One, chances of that happening are slim. Are slim at this point, where battery tech is, at least. Some parts of DidYouKnow Gaming video I have a problem with was how he called Furukawa and Bowser aren't gamers. They cherry pick, compare Switch 2 price to digital-only consoles and Steam Deck. Yeah, I didn't like the comparison with Steam Deck and all that. I thought that was ridiculous. Christian Bonanza.
I'm tired of the trash talk over Mario Kart World. But Minato Mario putting these drama queens in their place on X keeps me warm at night. Thanks, Minato Mario. This dono is for you, Red Harto. Hi,
oh, man.
OJ. Lol.
Do not encourage him. Please do not encourage him. But that's super. Don't encourage him. But no, overall, like I said, the video, I want to make sure that I'm very clear. The DidYouKnow Gaming's video was good. I liked it. They're like my favorite channel. I like DidYouKnow Gaming. The video was good. This is not a hate on DidYouKnow Gaming set. Like, it's not. I will never hate on them like that. But it does seem like they were off base. It does seem like they were off base. And they changed the title because of that. Super Christian, Super CB. Thank you for the $3 dono. You tied up my man Justin. We got 7 on the board. Let's go. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate that. Thank you for the dono once again. And remember, if you drop a dono, make sure you put your music request in the message. Christian, if you want something, let me know. Also, Justin, if you want something, let me know as well. These portable PCs barely get an hour if you want to play big games. Yeah, you barely get an hour on a lot of them. If you played the biggest games like Cyberpunk, or if you like an hour 30, an hour, like it's tough. It's not easy with battery life with high-powered games. And if you want to play an indie game, sure, you're gonna get good amount of hours on an indie game. Or you want to play like a lower-powered game, sure, you can definitely get a good amount of hours. But if you want to play, you know, the big games, you know, like Mario Kart World games, like you're playing online, Wi-Fi, all that, you know, you got 1080p just in general right there. That's gonna be more of a battery drain than 720p. Or like I said, if the game is running at a native resolution, you know, of 360, or if it's like, you know, like I said, lower powered games, lower powered screen, things like that, right? Less features, VRR, or, you know, DLSS, stuff like that's all going to take the power, you know, use more power. So you can't expect, you know, Switch battery life with Switch 2, considering how much more stronger the system is, resolution and everything wise. So yeah. Let's see. What's up, OJ? How is it? How be also battery? When are you gaming on Switch for 3 straight hours? Did that with Hyrule Warriors from 100% to 100% to 10? Felt like I was gaming forever. Well, I mean, yeah, like some people like to have it because they forget to charge their system, or if you're traveling, right, you're going to want to have it, you know, if you're traveling far. Most people will probably play in short stints. They won't need to be able to play more than 2 hours. But I think that really it's like if you forget to charge your system and then you go out, oh man, it's only at 60%. Well, if you go out and it's only at 60%, you're not going to get that 2 hours. Whereas, you know, with the Switch OLED, if you're like at 70% or whatever, you know, you're going to get way more. You're going to get more hours with that, right? So I think that's really what it comes down to, you know. I hope that a new My Hero game isn't another 3D fighting game. I'm so tired of those. Yeah, we'll see. Shoutouts to Justin with the Jow.
One thing I really love about Switch 2, especially after spending a day with an MSI Claw, is how quiet it is compared to it,
yes.
and how easy it is to dock it.
Yes. Yeah, I think those are the things that made me just say I'm done, because the dock process with other systems is just nowhere near as good. So Switch 2 is just so much easier. And yeah, absolutely, Justin. Shoutouts to Ava Cook. Thank you for becoming a tuned-in tier once again. Yo, let's go. And also, thank you guys so much. We hit our first overclock. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Shoutouts to Justin as well. Appreciate you, man. You are now the sole Stream Ninja and Stream Okage with that 13. Let's go, man. Thank you so much, Justin. First one up. Let's get your name on the board. And thank you, Ava Cook, for becoming a member once again. Exclamation mark, all lowercase. If you want to join up, only $1 to get in on that membership. Get in on our Mario Kart days. Let's go. One JoJo on the board, 18. Yo, we feeling it right now. Let's go. Getting into a rhythm.
Overclock Buster!
Thank you so much, guys. Stream clock extended 15 extra minutes. Extended on to today's stream. Let's see here. Are you giving Switch 2's battery life a pass? No, I'm telling you that it's not feasible to get for a high-powered system to have crazy amounts of hours of battery life. It'd be like, it's not a pass. I'm telling you what's feasibly possible within the realm of right now and the technology available. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying, Projo. So if you look at other high-powered systems, right? So you look at ROG Ally, you look at all these other ones, none of those get crazy amounts of of hours of battery life with high-powered games. That's what I'm telling you. For right now, the technology. Now, 3-4 years from now, could the technology get way better for batteries to where we can get way more efficiency for the same price, to where it wouldn't jack up the price or make the system way bigger? Sure, that's possible. But I'm telling you right now that there's no feasible way right now to get way better battery life with high-power games, 1080p, HDR, from what I've researched. Now, if you have a way, or if you know of a system that does that, Projo, let me know in the chat. Then I'll stand corrected. But from what I listen, remember, I graded the battery life down on my review. It's not like I said, oh, the battery life is perfect, it's okay. No, I said that's one of the negative points. I'm telling Corny Puddle that there might not be some type of crazy big battery solution in a little bit. Don't bank on that. I'm trying to be honest with you. Stop looking at it like fanboy type, oh, Pat, you're giving... No, let's look at it from facts, okay? I do things from facts here, not just purely my emotions. I do things from facts. So look at what I said. Slow down. I know you said that sometimes I gotta tell you something again. Slow down. Listen to what I'm saying, all right? I'm telling you that battery tech has not advanced for high-power games to get 3-4 hours out of, like, Tears of the Kingdom, or 3-4 hours out of, like, Cyberpunk. That's what I'm saying right now. The battery tech is just not there. Now, you can with a big old battery.
Satisfy not shipping till August or later. What grip do you recommend?
The grip
Solo
that I
leveling
recommend.
music, please.
I cannot play slow leveling. That is an anime, so I cannot play that. But I'm getting the skull and something grip. So once I get that, I might be able to recommend it to you. I did get this grip right here. It's called a BF gift from Amazon. I mean, it's a pretty cheap grip, and it's working for me right now. But that's like 20 bucks on Amazon. But I am gonna get the Satisfy grip, and I am gonna get the skull grip. So I'll see how those are. But for right now, I can recommend that BH gift grip. So yeah, that's what I can do right now. So keep that in mind, guys. Not saying it's a pass. Not saying that it's great. I'm telling you right now that battery tech is just not there. That's what I'm saying. And remember, guys, Switch 2 negativity, Switch 1 also has made negativity for almost its entire lifespan. Yeah. That's why I'm saying it's probably going to help it sell the system more. everything is a trade-off. More powerful, bigger battery equals higher price. Pick your poison. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's always going to be trade-offs and things here and there. Look at some of the prices of PC portables. Look at some of those prices, and you guys see what I'm talking about. You're looking at $599 for a lot of them, $600. You're looking at $700, $800, $900, you know, for a lot of this stuff. So yeah. I can get 2 hours and 30 minutes for Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition. Well, yeah, I mean, it's gonna run you, Nintendo said 2 to 6 hours. So it's gonna be dependent on, okay, do you have HDR enabled? Where's your brightness at? Okay, is the Wi-Fi on? You know, it's gonna be based on like a lot of different things. Are you using the Bluetooth? Like, there's a lot of factors that can change it up.
Super glad to hear that you're going to try out the Skull and Company grip.
Yes, there you go.
I hope you like it as much as I do Grin.
Yes, I think that one so far is the best one that I can think of that people actually have. Now, Genki's gonna have their grip coming out, and Satisfy's gonna have their grip coming out. I'm gonna buy all of them, and I'm gonna do a big review after I play like with each one of them for at least like 4 or 5 hours or something. So I've been using this current one. That's okay. It's cheap though. I think it's gonna, I don't know if it's gonna mess up my Switch like marks or something. It doesn't seem like it's going to based on the inside, but yeah, I'm gonna try out the Skull one. I'm gonna try out the Genki one. And I'm gonna try out the Satisfy one. So I'll give you guys my full report. Shout out to Jacob Dressback. Thank you so much. 24 on the combo board. We are almost at the 30-minute extension. Hey, yo, let's go, man. Appreciate that, guys. Do you think that Bandai would announce a Switch version of Digimon's story at their show? I don't think so. And I'm not really baffled that they haven't announced it yet, because that game had already been in development for multiple years. It's probably going to be more of a later version to come out, because the Switch is coming out in the middle of right before the game's about to be dropped, if I'm not correct, right? So there's no way that they're going to get an adequate version out fast enough, or they could have rushed out a version of the game. So Elias, you gotta, like I said, let the system come out, let some developers get caught up. Development is not easy. It's not an easy thing at all. It's not easy at all. So let them get caught up. They will bring out versions of it. But I mean, they probably could have rushed out a version of Digimon, the new Digimon game, but it probably would have been bad. Now, if the Switch 2 was x86 system to where it's an easy port, then yeah, sure, why not? But it's not. It's ARM. You've got to definitely code and do things differently. You don't want them rushing out bad versions, so just be patient. Be patient. The system, like I said, that Digimon game's coming out this year, if I'm not correct, right? Switch 2, like, developers just got their kits last year or so. Like, they didn't get their kits a long time ago, so that does not give very much time for a port of the game. So just relax and let them get the system out. Let's get the first wave of games. Let's wait. They will get the ports. But when you launch a system in the middle of a generation, towards the end of the generation, you're not going to get all the games that are coming out this year all of a sudden just dump trucked on the system. That doesn't even make sense. Or you're simplifying game development. It is not a simple port just from PS5 to Switch 2. It's not. You can't just press a port button and then all of a sudden it works on Switch 2. You got to actually actively develop for it. You know, like that doesn't just happen. So yes, they're going to do it, but don't expect it day in day. Whereas, like I said, they've been working on the game for years now. You can't just press there is no port button, guys. You got to actually get developers on it, and you got to actually code. You got to actually port it over. Unless, like I said, you want a crappy port. You want what happened with the Wii U, where they just rushed games out on the Wii U and did not care. Yeah, the games performed worse than the 360 and PS3 versions. So we want good versions of games. So just be patient. Be a little bit patient. I mean, a lot of times you rush here and say, they don't have what I wanted and it's coming out in like 3 months or whatever. It's like, dude, the system just came out. Relax. Or just buy the game on PS5 or just buy it on there and enjoy it, you know? All right, moving on. Let's see here. More games are coming in time. Yeah, just gotta have a little bit more patience. Don't expect games that were dropping this year all of a sudden to randomly have a Switch 2 version. Like, yeah, sure, some of them, but most of them will not, you know? So yeah. Let's see here. I missed the dono. Did I miss the dono? Let me check. Shout outs to Jacob with the 3, and then shout outs to Punish the Sling with the $2. This is, would you ever wear a battery backpack Ghostbusters style? Would I ever wear a battery backpack Ghostbusters style? I don't think so. I mean, but we'll see. We'll see for sure. Remember the days of Switch 2? Yeah, I already read that. Shout out to Monato Mario. That Savage Raven. Yeah, the Savage Raven or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the Savage Raven. I can see your comments, Mr. Davis. What's good, man? Welcome. You didn't miss anything. We're good. Let's see here. What do you guys mean by Switch negativity? We're talking about the Switch 1 is going to fail videos. Switch 1 is going to fail videos, topics, articles, that negativity. Not people being constructive criticism, but the actual Switch 1's gonna fail. It's never gonna get any third-party games at all. It's like just all sorts of nonsense that people were saying before the system launched. That's what he's talking about. I mean, Switch 2 has more lies, though. Switch 1 just had people saying it's gonna suck, it's gonna fail, and it's weak, which is whatever. But Switch 2 has more people lying, like flat out just lying about the system compared to Switch 1, you know? Switch 1 was just like, oh, well, it's not gonna be good because it's not like Xbox and PlayStation. That's literally the argument against Switch 1 was, it's not Xbox, it's not PlayStation, so it's not gonna be very good. That was what it was back then. That's literally, it's not like them. It doesn't have support like them. It doesn't operate like them. They don't have memory like them. You know, it's gonna be the same thing as Wii U. It's gonna flop, it's gonna fail. You know, but that was essentially the arguments from many people. It's not Xbox or PlayStation, so therefore it's gonna fail, you know? Let's see, he says, blame Nintendo for bad communication. Well, part of that, yes, but a lot of it people are actually lying. Like, there were literally things like game key cards. It was actually explained on the website very well, and people still decided to lie about that, you know? So, they actually did explain it. Like I said, you can't really stop some people, though, from lying or miscommunication. Listen, guys, in the US, people read at a 6th grade level. Like, so you have to listen. I get it. There was definitely some miscommunication or whatever, or bad communication. I can't sit there and say that there wasn't, but there's just some people that are freaking stupid and can't read. There's also that too. So we also have to factor that in as well, right? It's both. But some people legitimately just lie about the system. The information's out there. It's already been explained, and they don't understand it because they can't comprehend information very well. Then they make a video. You know what I'm saying? Like, so don't sit, like I said, just because someone makes videos on YouTube doesn't mean they actually know what they're talking about. And just because someone makes videos on YouTube doesn't mean that they're damn near almost illiterate. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people that literally can't read very well, but make videos, okay? So, like, you gotta also factor that in too, you know? I think some are not really comprehending how stronger the Switch 2 is. And, oh, you changed your name, cool. And now Nintendo had to consider battery life when keeping this sleek design. Yeah, there's a lot of things that factor into it. 100%, there's a lot of things that factor into it, for sure. What do you think of beat-em-up's criticism and weak third-party sales due to game key cards? What do I think of that? I think that it's just the easy type of thing to say, oh, well, it's weak third-party sales because of game key cards. But that's not actually it, because one of the best-selling third-party games isn't even on a physical cartridge. It's literally digital. It's just digital. And another one of the best-selling games is a game key card. Another one of the best-selling third-party games is a code in a box. So that's not necessarily true. In my opinion, at least. In my opinion, that's not necessarily true. Guardians of Azuma is not on a game key card. It's on a physical cartridge. And that's selling underneath other games that are game key cards or that are codes in a box or just flat out digital. So, no, that's not necessarily it. If you look at the actual facts, people are just saying that just because people are complaining online, but that doesn't mean that's actually what's happening. If you look at the best-selling games, it's games, like I said, that are not even like actual, like I said, Split Fiction. That's not even a game key card. It's a code in a box, and that's selling really well. Like Guardians of Azuma, or not Guardians of Azuma, Fantasy Life is selling one of the best-selling third-party games by far on Switch 2. That's the digital-only game. Now, you can buy the Switch 1 physical, but the Switch 1 physical isn't even here in the US. Like, you gotta import it, you know? Like, you gotta import that Switch 1 physical. So people are just buying it on the eShop. It's the number 2 best-selling game on the eShop right now, above a lot of Nintendo's first-party games. So, no, not necessarily. No, I don't 100% agree with that, because the data is not necessarily saying that. That's just what people are saying online. And I can't equate what people are saying online to what's actually happening in store. And once again, I did my own analysis of the of the third-party games, and I don't see it to where all these third-party games are selling bad. Actually, I see that a lot of third-party games are actually selling decently, and I think that people are just taking that story that Christopher Dring did and ran with it. Once again, a lot of people that made videos on that, they're not actually updating what Matt Piscatella said from Circana and from the NPD group. He said it's way too early, the third-party sales are just fine, people are overreacting. So, and once again, the Game Business article was sourced from Matt Piscatella and sourced from Circana, and he's like, no, that's a little bit much. So yeah, I don't really think so based off of my research. I also reached out, and I'm going to talk about this in my video, but I reached out to 2 separate third-party developers, and I'll tell you guys what they said in my video when I make it. But I'm just still gathering a little bit more information here. So yeah. So you're going to make a Switch 2 grip vid? Yes, once I get all my Switch 2 grips. It's funny, the launch, don't buy Switch 2, then after Switch first week sales, don't buy Switch 2 game key cards. Well, people were saying that before and after, though. People were saying that before and after. What do you think the creators like Kid and Krista and Wolfden using the third-party lie as clickbait for their podcast? Wolfden podcast title was bad for information's sake. I think that they're just using it. That's because that's what the talking point was. So people are going to use whatever titles that help them get people to watch, which is fine. Which is fine by that. But once again, it'll be proven wrong in just a little bit here. I don't think it's even proven. I think it's already kind of proven wrong already. But that was the hot topic, so of course people are going to title it that type of way. But once again, if you actually look at what's actually selling at this point, the good games are selling good. The games that are not so good or that are too expensive or that people don't feel it's worth it, those aren't selling good. So that's my research, at least with third-party games. The games that are good and that are worth it value-wise are selling good. Bravely Default, Split Fiction, Street Fighter, Fantasy Life, Cyberpunk, Guardians of Azuma, Fast Fusion. All the third-party games that are worth it are selling. The third-party games that aren't, or that they didn't do a great job of actually making it enough value, or people think that I don't want to pay full price for it if they played it on another system, those games aren't doing good. So it's really just that's really what it comes down to. But are all third-party games flopping? No. Also, the game business didn't actually give numbers. They didn't actually say which games. There's no way in hell Fantasy Life, Cyberpunk, Guardians of Azuma, Split Fiction, and these games are or Street Fighter is flopping. There's no way in hell these games are flopping based off of what we know, based off the information. So it's not all third-party games aren't flopping. No. So yeah. As a mech fanboy, I need 2 updates: one for Gundam Breaker 4, one for Xenoblade Chronicles X. I think we're gonna get some of those. Wasn't just a few real cartridge games announced for Switch 2 recently, like some Sega games, for example? No. No. We still need to wait for those. No. So not yet. So yeah, but I don't think that their titles are wrong or anything like that. And once we actually get more sales numbers, and once the system actually gets a bigger install base, because a 2-week audit on third-party sales is insane. I've never heard of that in my life, where after barely 2 weeks, we have an audit on third-party sales for a system. That's like never happened in the history of systems. I've never seen that happen, and I'm pretty sure it'll never happen again, you know? I don't think that'll ever happen again where we get audits on 2 weeks of sales. So yeah. I love this misinformation arc. What's the best music theme for it? I have to think about the misinformation arc. It's definitely Groos's theme, but that just might be too obvious, so maybe something else. What's up, Bohemian Hito? Welcome. Borderlands, Civilization, Hades doesn't sell well. Hades isn't out yet, so I'm not sure how that can sell when the game's not even out yet. Borderlands also isn't out yet, so I'm not sure how that can sell. Civilization is out. I don't know how well that's selling or not, but that was like a full price game, and it's like a real RTS game, you know? So yeah. But yeah, Hades and Borderlands are not out yet, on Switch 2 at least, so yeah. Let's see here. Please play my request. Ladia Plains from Super Princess Peach. Okay, I got you. Super Princess Peach. Super Princess Peach. Ladia Plains. All right, shout out. Thank you so much, Eva. Welcome. Also, people didn't mention Street Fighter 6 sold 5 million after the Switch 2 came out. Can't be coincidence. Can't be, but Street Fighter 6 is definitely doing well from everything that we've seen so far, from at least the small amount of retail data that we have, the different sales charts in different regions, also the eShop. It's probably doing pretty good. It's probably doing pretty good relative to the install base and how old the game is. So, yeah, I don't think that are all third-party games flopping? No. I don't think that's even what Christopher Drink was saying. That's what people clickbaited from. He didn't say every single third-party game is flopping. That's not what he said. But people took that and ran with it, you know? Let's hear Justin with the $3 dono. Shout outs, man.
Disney Speedstorm is getting a Switch 2 update. Mario Kart is in trouble. Lol, I thought that Disney game was dead.
No, it's still going. It's still going. Shout outs. Combo breaks. We got one combo away from 830. minute extension. Thank you so much, Mr. Justin. Also extending your Hokage lead to 16. Anybody does 16 or more, you can beat out Justin on the board. Thank you so much, Justin, for the support, man. I appreciate that. 10 or more to beat him on the Hokage or Stream Ninja board. Let's go. Yeah, appreciate that. I didn't know it's getting that. You think Nintendo will start providing 32GB cards? Not anytime soon, because a lot of developers didn't even want to pay for a 32GB card on the Switch 1, and a lot of the major third-party games probably aren't even they're gonna need more than 32GB. So I doubt it, because it's gonna cost almost as much because of the process. Like, how many people are gonna need a 32 compared to a 64? Remember, if you have anything above or near, so if your game is 33GB, you're probably gonna need 64GB card. So I doubt it. Most developers did not want to use a 32GB card on Switch 1. And I don't think that the process in terms of the size of it would even be that much of a difference, considering how much you would need to make, like what developers would need what. So the process is the problem. That's the bigger problem, is the process. They would probably need like a 16GB for like indie developers, and then a 64GB for everybody else. But once again, 32 is not going to solve all the problems. Split Fiction, Street Fighter, Yakuza 0, these would all still need more than 30. Most big AAA games, Borderlands or whatever, 007, all these big games coming out would still, 32 is not going to solve that. A 32GB card's not going to solve that. Daemon X Machina, a lot of these games, it's not going to solve it. So probably not anytime soon. And like I said, I don't know if it'd even be that much cheaper considering the menu for proprietary memory. You know, I don't know if it would be. So yeah. No, Nintendo doesn't give us prices for that. We just know that it's expensive, Projo. We don't have to know the price. We just know that it's expensive as hell for it. It's definitely expensive. It's a proprietary 64GB cartridge. 32GB cartridge proprietary for the Switch 1 was expensive. 64 is double the memory, higher capacity, higher quality. It's definitely going to be more expensive. We don't need to know the price. We just know that it's expensive. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. Let's see here. If the AVG game is going to be 200 gigs in size, we are not ready for an all-digital future. Always the AVG. What is the AVG game? I don't know what that is. What is AVG? We're back to regular games. Back to regular names, not at. I just noticed that. But no, it was at earlier. It was at. No, wait a minute. Hold up. Time out. Wasn't it at earlier in the stream? I'm almost positive it was at earlier in the stream and it changed midstream. Or am I tripping right now? AVG. Okay, average. Got you. Average. So yeah. It was. Okay, it was. Justin with the 17 months says, can I get Busted Bayou from Tropical Freeze? Yeah, of course. Busted Bayou from Tropical Freeze. Busted Bayou. I didn't even notice. Tropical Free. I didn't even notice, dude. Yeah, it changed during the stream, but it's all good. It's also funny that many people are flipping over Nintendo's non-response over game key cards. Like, what did they have to say that they admit they were wrong and forces them to stop using them? I don't understand how that was a non-response. They said that, look, third-party, it was something that we consulted with third-party developers to make so they can get their games on the system. That's it. Like, that's it. There is no, like I told you guys this even beforehand, there's no conspiracy theory. Third-party developers wanted them to have a retail presence, but not have to pay for an expensive cartridge. That's it. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's what it is. That's it. It's not a non-response. That's literally it. Hey, look, we consulted with third-party developers to make it, to get their games on the system. That's what they said. That's it. I don't know what content creators are flipping out over it, but that's the answer. Which I told you guys that even before Nintendo told you that. I told you guys that. If you were paying attention on the Switch 1, I could have told you that from the Switch 1. They were doing this on Switch 1. How many developers use a 32GB cartridge? Like, nobody. Damn near nobody. So they didn't want to pay for them on Switch 1. Why are they going to pay for them on Switch 2? Like, so I was telling you guys this. The people that are flipping out are saying that, oh, that's not a non-answer. They're the ones who didn't understand what happened on Switch 1, who literally did not understand what happened on Switch 1. So yeah. Let's see here. OJ, I heard Switch 1 is going to be 400 when well, you should get a Switch 250 more. It's going to be 400. Unless you're talking about Canadian prices. The Canadian prices went up, but I didn't see the price that it went up to. But yeah, definitely if the Canadian prices, but the Canadian price of the Switch 2 is already more than what it is here in the US. So it just depends. So yeah. Let's see here. Yo, Kakarot with the $2 says, you've seen the eShop sales. Any recommendations? I have seen it. Xenoblade games, Mario games, Xenoblade games. I recommend those. But there's also other games too. But I recommend like the big cool games. So Xenoblade if you haven't got Xenoblade yet. 31 on the board, another combo breaker. Thank you so much, Kakarot. But yes, I do recommend Xenoblade and I do recommend Mario Odyssey if you don't have it. Let's go!
Overclock Buster!
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Yo, let's go. Appreciate with the Kakarot with the $2. What do you think of my recommendations? People are making way too big of a deal out of game key cards. I wonder how many of these people have expensive Steam libraries. You don't own the Steam games. A lot of them probably do, but obviously console gaming is very different from Steam. ILJ, let's see it. Micro SD Express is far behind the games so big. Micro SD Express is far behind the games so big. I don't know what that means. But yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, apparently there's non-response from some people. Nintendo made game key cards for third parties. I think many just want to force Nintendo to use some normal card. Good idea. Nintendo's not going to force anybody to use cards. Like, they didn't force them on Switch 1. Microsoft and Sony doesn't force anybody.
They are super cheap right now and run really good on Switch 2.
Digimon games. Also, Justin's recommending Digimon games as well. Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, none of them force anybody to put all of the game on the cartridge or not. Microsoft obviously doesn't because they had smart delivery. Sony does not as well because Microsoft put out games that are essentially like Doom, The Dark Ages, and stuff like I think Indiana Jones. Those are like game key cards. So no, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, none of them force them to do anything when it comes to stuff like that. If you want to release a game all digital, you can. If you want to put partial on a cartridge, you can. You want to put the full thing on the cartridge, you can. You want to put, like, they all literally they can in terms of how you do your game, that's fine. You know, they none of them will force you to do anything. So yeah. Shout outs to Justin. Thank you for the $3 dono. Appreciate that, man. Upping it to 19 on the board. Check out the Digimon games. 19. Thank you so much, man. Let's see. Steam gaming is much cheaper. Is what he's talking about. Steam gaming is much cheaper. Well, it depends. Sometimes it's cheaper, sometimes it's not. Sometimes there's sales and deals on the eShop, like right now. Sometimes it might be more expensive on Steam. So it just depends. Just depends. But yes, Steam does have obviously a variety of places that you can buy games compared to Nintendo. Obviously, whatever games that you can get in the store, that might be sometimes different price than what you can get obviously on like the eShop. I read somewhere that it costs $17 per cart. Yeah, but none of that's confirmed. We don't have any confirmations on that. Which Xenoblade do you recommend to start with? Xenoblade 1. Start from the first game. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. So yeah. The Switch and Switch 2 era of Nintendo are being the least controlling for third parties and giving them freedom, but people keep complaining. Yeah, you can't tell a developer to force them to buy a 64GB cartridge. That's not happening. That's just not happening. You're not gonna force any of them. They're just gonna say, well, we don't want to buy it, or we just won't put your game out on there. That's what they're gonna do. You can't force anybody to do anything. Just like you can't force Microsoft or Sony can't force Microsoft to put Indiana Jones on the full Blu-ray disc. They're not gonna force them to do it. If they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. That's it. That's plain and simple. That's really what it comes down to. Not a Pokemon fan, however, the new Pokemon game is interesting. Pokemon Legends ZA, yeah, it looks like it's gonna be pretty good. I'm okay with game key cards. I got Sonic Shadow Generation key card and it was fine. I'll be okay if my library with some key cards is just part of gaming history. Yeah, it just depends. Like I said, some people care, some people don't. It's gonna come down to sales with game key cards. Nintendo's going to look at the results. There's a lot of backlash here and there in space. People once again on the internet. Yeah, I think it's going to come down to sales. But once again, I don't think Nintendo's going to force them to do it. Even if the sales aren't great, I don't think they're going to force them to do it. They're just going to be like, hey, look, you should probably put it on a 64GB card if you want to sell more. But I don't think they're not going to force them. Regardless of the sales, they're not going to force them. They did that on the N64 era. In the N64 era, the cartridges were expensive. Hey, obviously there was no digital distribution back then. You have to put it on this expensive cartridge. Developers just said, nah, well, we're good. They just said, nah, we're good. We're just not going to release the game, or we're just, who cares? Like, that's what they did in the N64 era. So Nintendo's not going to force them to do anything. Even if the sales are not good, I don't think they're going to force them. So yeah. So let's see here. I really hope they change Mario Kart World up. They really don't like it. I think they will. Give it some time. Those gamers who think Nintendo should force developers probably weren't around for the N64 era. Yeah, they weren't. Or no, they were around. They just didn't know. A lot of people don't remember the N64 era, or they weren't online in the N64 era. You didn't see so you don't really know. You'd be surprised how many people don't actually know the history of Nintendo, but talk about Nintendo. Like, but talk like they know the history of what happened, you know? You cannot transform your GOG games into physical discs. Like, that's nobody's doing that. I mean, you can, but nobody's actually doing that. Steam, GOG, those are predominantly digital platforms. The large majority of people are playing the games right off there. Most people are not transforming them into physical games. That's ridiculous. 99% of people are not doing what you're doing. So I don't know why you're bringing it up as if that's some type of option that people are actually doing. They're not. If you talk to the large majority of PC gamers, none of them are saying, I'm going to play my game off of a disc. They're not. They're just booting up GOG and playing it off there. They're just booting up Steam, playing it off there. Or they're just pirating things and playing it from there. Or from wherever. You know what I'm saying? They are not making physical discs and playing them off the disc. That's silly. Let's stop acting like people are actually doing that. They're not. All right. Let's see here. You've seen the Banjo looking game, Ruffy. Thoughts? That's not my type of game. Let's see here. Let's see, OJ. Sure, you can definitely buy a hard drive and make your own physical. Sure, I said people aren't actually doing that. The large majority of PC gamers are not buying a physical disk drive, burning the game off of there onto there, and then inserting it and playing it that way. The large majority of PC gamers are not doing that. That's what I said. The large majority of PC gamers aren't doing that. The only copium here is you actually thinking people do that regularly. They don't. They don't do that. That's all I'm trying to say. Anthony Smith. What's up, Anthony Smith? What's good? Finally getting Order of Ecclesia Dominus Collection physical copy this week. Nice. Let's go. Shout outs, man. When did you say people are doing that? Well, you're bringing it up as an option, as if people act like if that's like a viable option for people, and it's not really. People don't do that. So that's the reason why I just say people aren't doing that. Sure, there's lots of things that people can do on PC, but they don't really do it. So sure, it's an option, but it's not an option that people actually use. So who cares? Most people don't do that. The large majority of people don't do that. And once again, it's not something that people are just going to do. That's all I said. It's not a viable option for most people. If you're playing on Steam Deck, you can't burn a disc on a Steam Deck, can you? I mean, you'd have to have some type of attachment to it or something like that. I mean, it's just weird. It's just a goofy thing to bring up. Whereas most people, the large majority of people, aren't going to do that, you know? So yeah, that's all I said. Sure, you can do it, but the large majority of people aren't going to do it. You're just here to argue about it. It's not a viable thing for most people, but you're just here to argue as an option. It's a worthless option. Most people aren't going to use it. It's worthless. Let's just be real. Most people aren't going to do it. Let's see here. Uncario with the 800 yen. Thank you so much, Uncario. I appreciate that. This is people think $15 for a cart. Third parties or Nintendo shouldn't eat that. Not realizing for every single copy they sell, that's most of the profits. Yep. They're not gonna eat that cost. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's already subsidized a little bit, but yeah. So yeah. I didn't start arguing. I just said that most people aren't gonna do that. That's all I said. But hey, like I said, man, if you feel the way that you feel, that's cool. I feel the way that I feel, that's cool. It is what it is. You know, like I said, we can agree to disagree, or I agreed with you on that one. So there's that. Let's see here. Saying the Steam Deck supports physical media is hilarious. People will say anything on the internet. That's what I'm saying. Like, people will MacGyver their way into trying to be right on this channel. They will MacGyver their way to, like, you can make a burn a disc and hook it up physically on the Steam Deck. Like, nobody's doing that crap. But it's an option, you know, like, but hey, look, sure, you're right. It's an option that nobody's doing. Sure. You can do you can make lots of different weird monkey paw options on PC. Sure. Let's see here. Let's see here. Man, I hope that's all as well for you too. Everything's going good, the cool guy. I appreciate you, man. So yeah, it's all good. A lot of PCs don't even come with disk drives in today's day. You'd have to buy like an add-on, right? You'd have to buy an add-on that connects via USB or via USB-C or something like that, or you'd have to do something. But like, you know, my PC didn't even come with the disk drive, so I'd have to buy a separate add-on disk drive, and then I'd have to obviously, you know, buy the software or get the software to burn it on, and then like look up the tutorials how to do that, like, you know, so yeah. He did argue with me a couple months ago on something. He actually argued about the Switch 2 itself and how successful or not that it would be. He got cooked on that one, so he didn't show up around the time of the Switch 2 actually, like the record sales. So he skipped those streams. I can confirm my new laptop just has a micro SD slot. I had to buy the DVD CD add-on. Yeah. You think DK Bonanza will be the best-selling DK game? I don't know. That's going to be tough. The best-selling DK game, I think, is nearly 10 million units. So around 8 to 10 million. So that's going to be tough to beat out that. It takes some time. But yeah, it definitely has a chance for sure. You remember the title of your video? Discuss Switch 2 release. Discuss demoing Breath of the Wild and load times being faster. I want to rewatch to see the reports came true. No, I don't want to rewatch that if because like the game's already out and the loading times are already faster. We already know that Breath of the Wild has faster loading times. We already know that Breath of the Wild is way significantly improved. So what do we need to go back and see if it became true? It literally was true. The faster loading times, the better resolution, the better frame rate, all that was true. Why do we need to go back and watch? What do you mean? So let's see here. You can also download a game onto an SSD, basically physical. Like I said, these people will say anything, bro. These people will say anything. Oh my god, these people will say anything. Let's see here. I think Bonanza could do Luigi's. Nobody actually considers downloading a game onto an SSD. Like, you're playing a game off your SSD, nobody actually considers that as a physical game. But hey, you know, it's okay. It's okay. Like, I have an SSD, and I have games on my SSD, and nobody says those are actually physical. Those are not physical games. That's not a physical game. That's a digital game that you downloaded onto a solid state drive. That's a digital game. That's a digital game. That's a digital game, but it's all good. Let's see here. Yeah, especially the bad guys, especially when the bad guys are involved. Yeah, it's all good. Literally any data storage is physical. Oh, you know what? I've got physical games on my Switch too. I can download the game on my SD card. You know, like, I mean, come on, this is stupid. Anyway, I'm not arguing this anymore. Bags, I'm gonna need $10 if you want to go on with these physical stuff. This is ridiculous. It's getting to be ridiculous. You're like I said, now at this point, you're just talking just to talk. So I'm gonna need, if we're gonna continue on with this stupid argument or this stupid discussion, it's dumb. It's silly. That's a digital game. We all know that's a digital game. You download a game to your SSD, that's a digital game. But like I said, you want to continue, I'm gonna need $10 because that's just silly. That's just silly. So yeah. All right, man. Thanks for coming out. 30 minutes. I told you if you want to do more, and you're typing in all caps, so you're getting all aggressive. So we'll just time you out for 30 minutes. All right, man. Thanks for coming out to the stream, though. I appreciate you. I didn't catch you though, Bags. Where were you during the Switch 2 record-breaking sales? I didn't see you come around then. You know, you seem to be absent for that one. You weren't here arguing. You were arguing a lot before the Switch 2 came out. You were arguing quite a bit about those sales. What happened, bro? This man's just here to argue. All right. Let's see here. Moving on. Let's see. It's Mario Kart Monday. Not today. Not today for Mario Kart Monday because I didn't know that I was going to be streaming today, so I did not set everything up. So we're going to do it next time because we did it last week, so we usually take like a week in between or so. So it's going to be probably next week. And if not, if we can't get it then we'll do it on a separate day. Let's see. I got PS4 games on portable hard drive. Remember, if it's ever Mario Kart Monday, we'll make sure that I put it in the title. It'll be in the title. Act like the moral high ground. Oh, there's Steam Deck better. Famous one. Nintendo Switch 2 is good. No, it's all good. Mario Kart Monday is a lie. No, it's not that it's a lie. I never put it in the title. We don't have Mario Kart Monday every single Monday. We don't have it every single Monday, believe it or not. It's not every single Monday. It's when we can actually do it. Today we couldn't do it because I wasn't planning on actually streaming Mario Kart today. I was gonna be late. I was gonna be super late, but I was able to stream today because something got canceled. But I don't have everything set up with my Switch and all that, so we can't do it today. Let's see here. What's the best Switch third-party controller? Switch 1 or Switch 2? Mo Dark Knight. He asked me, what's a Switch 2? I think he meant, that was the abbreviation. He didn't know what the abbreviation was for Switch 2. I don't think he doesn't speak English. Like, I don't think that he's from like an English speaking country, which some of you guys aren't either, but I don't think he understands, like, I don't think he comprehends English at a, like, you know, at a good enough level. So yeah, so cut him a break. But I only timed him out for 30 minutes because he's just here to argue. Like I said, he was arguing with me all, like, before the Switch 2 came out. He was saying that it's probably gonna fail. He was saying this and that. He was just bringing up every single thing. The Switch 2 came out, right? And it sold really good. And this guy was literally MIA for all the stuff about the Switch 2 sales and all that. He was gone. He did not show up. He was hyping up PC and Steam Deck over it and saying all this type of stuff. He was doing all that. And he literally disappeared. He disappeared for like a month. Like almost like this whole month. Actually, for like the last 2 to 3 weeks. Since we got the sales numbers, he has not been here. So, you know, no such thing as halfway crooks. Either you come through and you talk and you want to discuss, or you don't. You don't come through when you feel like arguing about something, and then other times when you argued and you were wrong, you just disappear. Nah, we don't roll that way here. We don't roll that way. Kind of like that one guy, Captain Alex, on Twitter. He sat there quoting Stealth all day, sitting there quoting Stealth. Anytime Stealth had something to say, he would be contrarian to it. He would say, oh no, he would say it's a Wii U thing. He would say all that. And then all of a sudden, he would talk about the sales himself. The sales come out, and it's the fastest selling system of all time. He conveniently does not want to quote tweet. Conveniently does not want to. All of a sudden, you don't want to quote tweet Stealth anymore, huh? You've been quote tweeting Stealth all day. You've been talking about negativity. Been quote tweeting Stealth all day. Been arguing with people all day on sales. The sales come out, and all of a sudden, you got nothing to say. I can't stand people like that. Like, if you're gonna stand on business, stand on business. Just say, hey, you know what? Let me catch an L. When I'm wrong on things, I catch the L. Did I not catch an L and say I was wrong on Tears of the Kingdom? Did I not catch an L and say that I was wrong when it comes to sales on anything that I'm wrong on? I don't sit there and run away. If you're wrong on something, take it like a man. Puff your chest up. Hey, look, take the L. I can't stand people who sit there try to sit there and talk and quote tweet and act all big and bad, then run away on a plug once you're wrong. Like, and then get mad when people bring up what you said. Like, literally bring up what you said. It was going to be another Wii U situation. I brought that up and I said, hey, remember when people said this? And then you get mad. You just want to feel powerful. Bro, you're the one who's quote tweeting. You had 23,000 likes on that tweet. Talk about it's going to be another Wii U. So I want to feel powerful. That's what you were doing. That's what you were doing. He was arguing with people in the chat and everything. Like, okay. Or in the comment, like, okay. Where's the update at, son? Now you don't want to talk sales. You were good at talking sales before. Now all of a sudden you don't want to talk sales no more. What a joke. What a joke. That's why I charged $10 for people that were arguing about sales beforehand. Remember how I was trying to charge people when we had that rule with sales? Because everyone was telling me, I said, yo, bet me on sales. What happened? Nobody bet me because they knew what would happen. And guess what? All those people that were saying that I was going to flop beforehand, those Switch 2 people, has anybody seen them? Except for Bags, he was here. But all those guys that were talking about it's going to flop, it's not going to do as well. Where are those guys at? They seem to be MIA. That's why I was charging. That's why I was trying to charge them. Because they're all gone. What did I tell you? What did I tell you guys? They disappear.
Oh yeah, by the way, Captain Alex guy, no wonder he sounds familiar. He's that same guy who got cease and desist by Nintendo cause of his Etika Joy-Con. No wonder why he's super negative about Switch 2. He should go back and focus on his custom controller lol.
Yeah, he does do that. But like I said, the only reason why I did that is because he quote tweeted one of my boys. He quote tweeted Stealth, and Ray showed him and tried to, make him and tagged him multiple times and said, like, so I'm like, okay, You thinking that? And listen, what Stealth said, he said, hey, he didn't know if Nintendo had a choice for this one and blah, blah, blah. So he had a lot to say. So, okay, you're going to quote tweet one of my boys like that. You're going to sit there and argue with them all day. And Stealth doesn't argue back. He doesn't really say nothing back. So I was like, all right, I'll just wait. I didn't say nothing then. I saw the tweet. I'm like, all right, I'll just wait. Because you're going to be wrong. Like, you're going to be wrong. So I'll just wait. That's what I did. I just waited. So then he got so salty when I brought it back up. Shout out to Minato, man. Thank you for the support, dude. I appreciate that. Let's see. You should charge $500. I was just charging lower amounts so people would actually do it, but nobody actually did it. So, yeah. That was another huge controversy aside. Free Melee. I remember you and Triforce talked about that too. Yeah, I think we talked about that. The whole controller thing. Yeah, that's the same guy. That's the same guy. You know, so it is what it is. Like I said, I don't got anything against him. Even after that, I don't got anything against him. I don't got anything against anybody that has certain criticism. Like, it is what it is. But like I said, don't get mad if you see something wild or you see something that's incorrect. Don't get mad when somebody brings it back up. Like, don't get mad if somebody's like, if it was blatantly wrong, don't get mad, you know? That's the only problem, you know, the only issue that I have at least. So, let's see here. Yeah, I think it's a bit too early to... I also agree. I think it's a bit too early to say that the Switch 2 is going to sell like the Switch 1. It's going to be in that range. I don't know if it's going to be there. I officially went on record saying I don't think it's going to sell as much as Switch 1 because Switch 1 just had like, you know, there was a lot of factors for Switch 1 that worked well in its favor. And most systems don't sell 150 million units. Like, there's only 3 systems in the history of systems that has ever sold 150 million units. Switch, DS, PS2. So the chances of that, like the success ratio to hit that number is like 1%. So why would I bank on that? I'm a numbers guy. I'm a facts guy. You know, I'm a facts guy. I like to look at facts and then make my predictions based off of the facts, based off of what we know, and based off of the trends. The trend is not going to be able to sell. The trend is never, you're going to sell 150 million units. That is not the trend. The trend is you can have a successful, stable business in portable systems or anything that's been considered portable. So I said, look, we're looking at about 90 million to 100 something million because that is a trend, right? Look at the Game Boy, 118 million. Look at the GBA, 80 million. Look at the DS, 150 million. Look at the 3DS, 75 million. Look at the Switch 1, 150 million. So the trend says, hey, give it about no less than 70 to 80 million, topping out maybe about 100 something million. That's really where it kind of falls in line with, right? It falls in line with that. It does not fall in line with 150 million. Nintendo's had 2 systems that has sold that, and that's good because Sony's never had that. There's been no other system in the history of systems that has ever sold 2 separate systems to sell 150 million units plus. Nintendo's the only system or the only company that has ever done that. But that is incredibly difficult to do. They did it, you know, DS era, Switch 1 era. Like, that's, relatively speaking, that's close, right? That's both within 20 years. So I'll get to, that's crazy to have 2 systems sell 150 million units within 20 years. Nobody else has done that. Sony's not even gotten close since the PS2 to selling 150 million. The closest that they've got is, what, the PS4. That's the next closest that they have to selling 150. And remember, the PS4 literally was in the generation by itself outside of the 3DS. Like, the Wii U flopped, the Xbox was not it. The PS4 had the generation. It had all the games, it had everything, and that didn't even sell. It had a good price too. It was $400 at launch, and it was, they had $200 bundles all the time, they had $300 bundles all the time, they had great Black Friday bundles, and that system didn't even really get that close to selling 150 million. And the PS4 had everything going for it. Absolutely everything. So it's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do at all. So I'm not going to bank on it. Shout outs to Kakarot with another $2 dono. Thank you so much, Kakarot. Let's go, man. Does you think Nintendo working on Galaxy 2 and Ocarina of Time remakes? It's definitely possible. There's been some information out there that they are working on those. So it's definitely possible. Maybe we see those as like a Nintendo Direct type of thing. Thank you so much, Mr. Kakarot. Multiple donos today. You ever see the video of the background NPC made about Nintendo? No, I don't even know who that is. I don't really watch a lot of content on Nintendo from other content creators. I'll be honest, I don't watch a ton of that. If it's something that that pops up and maybe I listen to it, I do, but I don't seek out a lot of, because a lot of the stuff they already, like, whatever they're talking about, I already know. So I kind of, or it's just like opinion pieces. So I kind of watch historical information, so I know more about Nintendo. The reason why I know the sales numbers off the top of my head is because I've watched so much historical content, and I've also researched it myself as a content creator. The reason why I can bring up scenarios and things is because I like historical content. I like history. It's my favorite subject. But hearing opinions on people, what they think about Nintendo, that's worthless. Somebody else's opinion that just says, I hate this, or even I like this a lot, like, that doesn't really do much for me when it comes down to it, unless they're actually putting in some facts, or they're putting in some stuff that's like basing it off of data or things like that. Now, those videos I'll watch, but it's just, I hate this because of this, or I don't like this, or this is stupid because of this, or I'm not buying this. I don't care about those. Like, those don't really mean much to me, so I'm not really gonna go out and watch those. If Nintendo sells more Switch 2s than GBA, it means that Switch 2 is their best sequel console ever, which is huge for them. Normally, Nintendo needs to change to keep momentum. Not necessarily. Yeah, if they can sell 80 million plus, that's obviously nowhere near as good as the Switch 1. So I think some people will be like, oh, that's not so good. But I think it's really going to come down to Nintendo's financials. Like, if they sell 80 or 90 million or whatever, and their financials are really good where they're making a ton of money off of subscriptions and memberships and things like that, I think it's going to be, it's not going to be like the end of the world. But if they're not doing as well, right, games aren't selling as well, then yeah. But something tells me that Nintendo's going to have the Switch 2 out for a really long time, and they're also going to probably make like a Nintendo Switch Pro. So I think they're going to have the Switch 2 is probably going to be a 10-12 year system. Between Switch 2 and Switch Pro, I think it's going to be a 10-12 year system. So they'll probably add those sales in too, like they did with the Game Boy Color, Many of these videos are clearly just rage bait and the same negative thing. Yeah, a lot of it's just the same stuff over and over, which there's no point in watching. So, yeah, I hope the positive reception to hardware performance upgrades encourages them to do Pro this generation. Yeah, I think they'll do a Pro this generation, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. I think it's going to be, 5-6 years from now, and we'll get a Pro. So, usually we get a Pro. Nintendo in the past, well, actually, no, I can't say that all the time, because the Game Boy Color came out really late in the life. Like, the Game Boy Color came out super late in the life of the Game Boy. Almost a decade after, right? Like, it came out, what was it, 98 for the Game Boy Color? It was definitely late 90s for the Game Boy Color. The Game Boy came out in 89, if I'm not correct, right? Was it 89? I think it was 89. So that's, that's a lot of years after. 10 to 12 years. Why do you think that long? Because they'd prolong it with the Switch Pro. Because they'd prolong the life. I mean, they went 8 years for the Switch 1. Thing was dated as hell. They went 8 years with the Switch 1. So I'm just basing it off of, like, what happened before. Now, could it be quicker than that? Sure. Could there be different circumstances that come up to where they have a great idea and they want to jump on it before somebody else, so therefore they say, no, we're making a Switch 3, or we're making something else? Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely, they could. That could happen as well. I mean, it's rumored that they were going to do a Switch Pro, but COVID happened, so it transitioned to Switch 2. I mean, that's a rumor. Don't know if that's actually a truth to that, but, yeah. You think the next-gen Pokemon game could actually look good? I think the next-gen Pokemon game is going to look as good as Pokemon Scarlet and Violet does, but then a little bit better. So take Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and make the environments better. Texture models going to look as good as it does on the Switch 2. So take those models and the Pokemon textures, maybe add a few more to them, but they're going to just focus on the environments looking better. So it's not going to look incredible, but it's going to have a better look than the Gen 1. So the models are going to be, I think, very similar. But the environments are going to look a little bit better. That's what I think they're going to do. But it's not going to be considerably better. It's just going to look a bit better. When do you think we're getting another sales update? Sales updates are going to come next week. Next week for sales updates. Let's see here, because Nintendo's the fiscal year, or the quarter just ended. So April, May, June. So then I think no, not next week. Next. Let's just say we're in July. August. We're gonna get the information in August. So next month we're gonna get the information, not next week. Next month, August 1st. Yes, there you go. Sorry, I had to correct myself. August. We're gonna get that. models are fine. The environment discard or PS exactly. So that's why I think they're gonna work on the environments a bit more, and the models are just gonna look as good as they do on the Switch 2, probably a little bit better. If you had to guess, what would you think would Nintendo Direct if it happens in July? When do I think? It'd probably be maybe right before or right after the Donkey Kong Bonanza release date. So yeah, that's what I would think. Background NPC girl is just riding that wave of Osmond Gold put under her feet, and she is just literally chiming in while the hate is hot to get views. I don't know who that is. I don't really care who that is. Whatever she said in her video, or he said, or whatever they said, that's fine too. I'm not here to talk about people's personal gripes or complaints, or like, who cares? Like, if somebody doesn't like something, that's fine. They don't like something. But I will say this once, I'll say it again. For every single Switch 2 I'm done or I'm telling you, there's like 10 to 12 people that are like, I'm gonna buy it. When you tell somebody don't buy something, they buy it. Like, I kid you not, when people say, I swear that's what people do. I am almost literally 100%, I think that's what people do. When you sit there and you make popular, it becomes popular, say, don't do this, people just say, I'm gonna do it. They'll sit there and hate on it and trash it, but I guarantee you a lot of people will just say, well, who the hell are they? I want this game. I'm gonna buy it. You know? Like, I'm telling you, people do this. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. All the hate. I'm still gonna get it. Like, people don't like being told what to do. Influencers have influence. I agree. But the thing about being an influencer, the thing about that is that, yes, a lot of people will see your stuff, but that doesn't mean everybody agrees with you. And that doesn't mean everyone's just gonna do what you tell them to do. You know? They might just say, a lot of people, like I said, you're giving publicity to said thing. And when people see something like Switch 2 and they see negativity, and they see other people talking positive about it, they do their own research. Which, I've said this before, like, misinformation actually helped Switch 2. It did, because everyone was talking about the system. They're constantly talking about it. Is it anywhere near as bad as some of these people make it out to be? Of course it's not. What are your options? Your options are fudging portable PCs. There is no Vita. There is no PSP. There is no Xbox, true Xbox handheld. Your options are limited. So if you want a high-powered device, a high-powered portable gaming device that has good games or that can play some good games, Nintendo Switch 2 is like the system. It's Switch 1 or Switch 2. Sure, you can get a portable PC, but it's a portable PC. People clearly aren't buying those in high volumes, and they're also expensive. They're expensive. They're not super cheap. So your options are what they're there. That's the option. That's the options you have. So sure, can you buy an Xbox? Sure, you can buy an Xbox. How many people are buying Xboxes right now? Can you buy a PlayStation 5? Sure, you can buy a PlayStation 5. But what if you want to be able to play a game anywhere that you want? Oh, you got to buy a Portal. Oh, you got to stream it to your phone. Oh, you got to buy a Backbone controller. Oh, you got to do these ad hoc things. Okay, Nintendo Switch 2, sure. Mario Kart's expensive. Yeah, $450 for the price. Yeah. But hey, look, $450. It's not like it's $650 or $750. You know? And I'm gonna get high quality games. The games look good. The games run good. I'm gonna get, and I can play all my Switch 1 games too. I can go back and play Switch 1 games. Seems like a pretty good value to me. Boom, buy it. That's what I'm telling you. That's what's happening. I literally spoke to 10 to 15, 20 people in line in Nintendo New York store, and I asked them about negativity. Just off the record. They didn't want to be filmed. Off the record. You know? I didn't really have a tripod for a setup and all that. And a lot of them said, yeah, I saw it, and I just, I can play my back catalog games. It's not perfect. It is what it is. I'll just, literally, there's people that are walking by and say, hey, can I get in line? Oh, Switch 2s? Can I get in line? Oh, yeah, I got a Switch 1. I played it before. What's this one? How good is this one? Oh, no, it does this, and this. Oh, there's Mario Kart. Okay, they literally got in line and waited that day as they were walking by Nintendo San Francisco store. So it's like, and some of these people were watching the negative stuff. So I get it. And like I said, when I say negative stuff, I don't mean people that are actually having legit criticism or people that are actually having stuff that's like for real, like, oh, okay, hey, this is not good. We've done that here. I'm talking about the people that are going crazy with it, you know, and thinking that that's going to affect the sales of something because you said this. No, it's not. If anything, like I said, it's more people just doing their research or actually looking at the other stuff with the system or getting a second, third, or fourth opinion. If they watch your video, chances are they're going to watch somebody else's video that says something completely different from you, you know? So I honestly believe that's what's happening, man. Honestly, like from who I spoke with, from what I see online, from the sales of the system, it all points to that. That's what's happening right now, from my estimation. Your last Switch 2 boycott though video, I saw one Don comment saying that's a lot of idiots buying Switch 2. The gaming prices will be worse in the future. Oh, this guy's full of coke. Sure, if that's what he wants to think, you know? If he wants to think that everyone's an idiot for buying it, sure. Nintendo also has the most brand loyalty out of the big three. Yes and no. Sony might have the most brand loyalty. Sony might. And the reason why I say that is because Sony's the most consistent. But I think that Nintendo is up there, if not surpass it. Like, I'm not 100% sure that Sony has more brand, or that Nintendo has more brand loyalty more than Sony. I think it's actually pretty close. Although, you know, you weren't saying that it wasn't close, Superpower Man. I just don't know who does. You know, you know, I don't know, to be honest. But we'll see. I mean, Nintendo could, for sure. I do think if you factor in everything, like with game sales, I think, yes, Nintendo has more brand loyalty. If you factor in game sales. Now, if we're just factoring the system itself, we'll have to wait and see with Switch. I mean, it looks that way. It does look that way. So I don't think you're wrong, Superpower Man. You know? But if I see that the Switch 2 continues on like Switch 1 and it gets, you know, and it sells 100 million plus and the game sales are explosive, then I'll say yes. I will say 100%. But I think that you're right, but I'm not 100% sure. That's all I'm saying, you know. Sony won PS4 gen, so people have that digital library loyalty too. Yes, but the thing about it, David, that plays into what Superpower Man is saying. That Switch 1 library is there, and Switch 1 backwards compatibility is better than Switch 2 backwards compatibility. Remember, if you play a PS4 game, well, hold up, let me time out. Mostly Switch 2 backwards compatibility is better than PS4's, because a lot of the games on the PS4 don't actually get any type of upgrades, or they just kind of play the same way that they play on a PS4 Pro. So it basically boots into like a PS4 Pro mode. The Switch 2 actually rewrites the code, emulates it, rewrites the code, puts it in there, and gets you better results, like much better results. So I think that the loyalty that people have with Switch 1, which the Switch 1's so better than the PS4, I think that's also kind of hard carrying the Switch 2 as well. Because there are a bunch of people that have the Switch 1 and say, oh wow, Switch 1, Switch 2, that's why it's the best name. You don't need any Super Switch or Switch Pro or Switch or any, just name it Switch 2. Because everybody who has a Switch 1 just says, oh, there's 2. You see a billboard? Switch 2. Oh, there's a 2. That's the set. Oh, I have that. Oh, I have all my games. All my games can play on this one. Cool. No problem. One simple Google search tells you that all your Switch 1 games play on, well, most of them, play on Switch 2, right? So that's an ingenious move, because once again, there were people, and I kid you not, man, there were people walking by that did not even know about the launch. And they literally said, oh, Switch 2. I have a Switch, and they got in line. That was, they literally got in line at Nintendo San Francisco. Nintendo San Francisco had stacks, bro. They had fat stacks of systems, just tons. There probably had to have been 700 systems there, man, or 800, maybe more. There were so many systems, so much to the point to where the city of San Francisco assigned a police officer to stand guard there, because you know what people were saying. Oh, everyone's just gonna loot the store. Yeah, right. You're gonna get your body's gonna get. You're gonna have a bunch of holes in your body if you try that, because you're gonna get shot. Everyone's saying, "Oh, San Francisco." No, I was talking to the cop. He was right there. My man was armed, body armor and everything. He's like, "Yeah, I want to see somebody try something." The San Francisco mayor, they said no. they had guns ready, you know. So anyway. My point with that was that there was tons of people that were actually just Switch 1 owners that didn't know, and they were walking by and decided to just get in line to see if they can get one, you know? Yeah, I agree with you today, Superpower Man. There's been other times, but obviously we've had some back and forths. I love Astral Chain. It's fantastic. So yeah, hey, what's up, Katana Riku? Welcome. How are you doing today? What's up, Pokemarbles? You're making so much sense. I'm just going based off of what we're seeing right now, you know? I never understood why there were people thought Switch 2 name was boring. They should call it Super Switch. I mean, like, I get it. It's just something to talk about. Nintendo almost did call it Super Switch, but ultimately they settled on Switch 2, and I think that was very smart. Now, look, I even said maybe Nintendo Switch Super, right, or Super Switch. But ultimately, when we started getting the rumors that it's just going to be called Switch 2, when you really think about it, that is the smart move. Because if it's called Super Switch or Ultimate Switch or something, people just, like I said, people just might think something different. They just might think that it's something different, or that they don't need it, or that it's just an upgrade, and that it's not something that's the next thing. And you got to be as clear as possible, right? And then on top of that, if they went with the same, the whole, I'm not making fun of Wood here or anything, but if they went with the same color box, so you have the same color box, it's not called 2, it's called Super, that becomes confusing, right? With the same box, like, okay, what's the Super? It's the same, like, you see what I'm saying, right? So it just becomes, convoluted. Now, if you put a big old 2 on the box, you can kind of get past the whole box similarity thing a little bit better, right? It's easier to do that. So Wood does have a point on that front, because if it was called Super Switch or something, then it might be tougher, right? You might have to go with a different color box. So yeah. Hey, did you see Wood's video on game key cards? I did not see it. I didn't see it yet. So yeah. It's like the NES and the Super NES. Yeah, I mean, back then though, Nintendo obviously didn't have their naming conventions. Back then you can do Super because at the time there weren't really pro systems. There weren't really like that, right? We had revisions, but they were just like, oh, it's an NES revised that looks smaller, or whatever, right? So we didn't really have that. But now it's gotten more complicated. We have DSi, we have new Nintendo 3DS, we have Wii Mini, we have, new Nintendo 2DS XL. We have all sorts of stuff now. So you've got to be careful with the thought process, right, of what people might think with a name like that because of PS4 Pro, Xbox One X, stuff like that, right? So you got to be careful. So Switch 2 is the most, and listen, maybe there's some inspiration from PlayStation. PS1, best-selling system of all time at the time that it came out, and by the time that it was all said and done, PS2 supplanted the PS1 in terms of sales. So maybe they're thinking if it's straight up, everyone knew what a PS2 was. I was there. We all knew it was the sequel to one of the best, or one of the best selling systems of all time, right? So maybe Nintendo's thinking that, hey, look, Sony sold more PS2s, than they sold with the PS1. And the PS1 was by far, easily, the best-selling system of all time by a country mile at that point, right? The next closest system was the next closest system was the NES, if I'm not correct. If you don't count the Game Boy was up there in sales, so the Game Boy, yes. But if you're talking about home consoles, the next closest system was the NES with 60 million. So the PS1 beat out the next, like, the best-selling system by 40 million units, So I think that there might be some strategy in that as well. Like, hey, look, we follow up one of our best-selling systems of all time with just a straight-up thing. It's just straight up, What's up, Gaming Mariner? Welcome. Shoutouts. We are also, guys, shoutouts, we are 4 combos away from a 45-minute extension. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I appreciate that. Finally beat Ashley post game. It was great, but so difficult. I'm waiting for the Switch 2. But yes. What's up, That Set? Welcome. I bet the same people said if the next Switch isn't called Switch 2, then it's DOA. I'll tell you something right now. If they called it Super Switch, people would have said that people are going to get confused with that as well, too. So no matter what, there would have been criticism. It wouldn't have been universal because everybody has different opinions, So, but Switch 2 was the smart name to make, Huddy with the $5 dono just got back from the vacay in the mountains of Colorado for a week. It was glorious. First gaming thing I did was beat Simon in Expedition 33. How goes it? Yo, nice. Let's go. There you go, man. So yeah. Switch box situations nothing compared to Xbox situation with all the weird names they had and confusing to a lot of people. I don't know if the Xbox naming thing was confusion for a lot of people. I think a lot of people just didn't want Xbox One or didn't want Xbox Series S or Xbox. I don't think it was confusing. I think people just don't want it. But yeah, I mean, I guess some people could get confused with that. Sure, absolutely. I'm glad you had a fun trip though, Huddy. You guys give some likes to my man Huddy. Big Elite Ninja here in the village. And yo, we have hit the official 35 combo breaker. Let's go.
Overclock Buster!
What's the best gaming accessory ever made? I don't know. What are some of the best gaming accessories? Microsoft doesn't know how to name their consoles. They don't know how to make games. I think the bigger problem is the games. I don't think it's the console names, guys. I think it's the games, because the Xbox 360 is a weird name too. Like, that's not like, is that like an incredible name? Like, is the Xbox 360 some type of god tier name? I don't know if it is. Xbox 360? What does that even mean? I think they said like all around system or whatever. Like, but I don't know. But either way, people are like, oh, cool. That's fine. The games are great, so I'm gonna buy it. So I think it's more of the games more than the system name, in my opinion. Can confirm Xbox was confusing. Bought an Xbox for a friend last Christmas. Kakarot with another $5 dono. Yo, Kakarot, thank you for the multiple donos today, man. Holy smokes, I appreciate that, bro. Seriously, thank you for the multiple donos. 50 on the board, 51. Kakarot coming through. Give us some love in the chat. Nintendo had confusing names: Wii, Wii U, Game Boy, DSi, Game Boy 2DS. I don't know what a Game Boy DSi is. I have no idea what that was. Definitely the AliExpress Chinese knockoff. I don't know what a Game Boy DSi is, but a Game Boy Pocket and Game Boy Color isn't really confusing. It literally tells you exactly what it is. So if you don't know what a Game Boy Pocket is compared to a Game Boy Color, you probably had problems putting shapes into certain like the right actual shape. You know what I'm saying? Like, you probably had problems, because I went through that era. I don't think you did, Projo. I don't know if you're old enough, but I went through it and it was very easy. Here's a Game Boy. It's a big brick. Here's a Game Boy Pocket. It's small. Here's a Game Boy Color. There's color. That was really easy. Now, if you want to go to like the DS, right? And I'm gonna get this done. I'm gonna read off the message in just a bit. DS Lite. That was simple. It's a small light DS. DSi. That one I can say, okay, maybe that gets a little bit confusing. But nobody was actually confused when the DSi came out. Nobody was actually confused. I'll be honest. Nobody was. You know?
Hey OJ, I
What's up,
had a
Crystal Bob?
crazy thought with the name. What if Nintendo adopted this naming structure back then? Instead of Super Nintendo, they called it Nintendo 2. What number would it be on now?
The only problem, if they called it that, so that's the NES, Super NES, that'd be the Nintendo 2. The GameCube, or the N64 would be the Nintendo 3. That'd be the Nintendo 3. N64 would be the, Super Nintendo would be the Nintendo 2. N64 would be the Nintendo 3. GameCube would be the Nintendo 4. Wii would be the Nintendo 5. Wii U would be the Nintendo 6. Switch would be the Nintendo 7. I guess this would be the Nintendo 8. But are we counting, like, we're not counting portables, right? If we count portables, then it messes it all up. So I'm not really sure. But yeah, Nintendo, I think this would be the Nintendo 8 or 9, right? This would be Nintendo 9. So I think this would be the Nintendo 9. a lot of confusion. That would be confusing. Well, no, that wouldn't be too bad, but yeah, Nintendo could do that in the future. They just call it the Nintendo this. Like, they could do that. They could. That's not something that I think that it'd be off the table for them to do. Combo breaks. I knew the difference, but she was confused on what to buy. Oh, okay. You knew this, but she was confused what to buy. Yeah, more casual line gamers might be a bit more confused on some of that. Game Boy Micro. I had one of those. Game Boy. You mean the GBA? The Micro GBA? Yeah, the Game Boy. Yeah, okay. Yeah. GameCube, N64, Wii U. That's not confusing. That's not. I mean, maybe you can say Wii U's confusing. Maybe people didn't know what that. But when GameCube came, that was not confusing. To go from like the N64, people were like, oh my god, I'm confused. That was not confusing. Unless you were there. I mean, were you there, Projo? I was there. Nobody was confused. It was just called a GameCube. It was that, but that's not a confusing name. Nintendo 64. That wasn't confusing. Everybody knew what it was. Everybody knew what GameCube was. Everybody knew what a Wii was. Those aren't confusing. Those aren't confusing names, to be honest. Like I said, if you want to say like Wii to Wii U, okay, sure. If you want to say maybe the DSi, maybe, but not really. DSi sold incredible. People love the DSi. Nintendo marketed it really well too. But yeah, outside of that, there really isn't too many confusing. Maybe new Nintendo 3DS. I can see somebody saying, okay, that's kind of confusing for sure. New Nintendo 2DS, new Nintendo 3DS, stuff like that. But GameCube, Wii, N64, those aren't confusing. How can you leave out the Virtual Boy? Seriously. Am I dropping frames, guys? Am I dropping frames? I don't know if I'm dropping frames or not. Hey, what's up, World Renowned? Welcome. Shout outs, dude. Shout outs to Criosin Bomb. Thank you for the $5 dono, man. Let's go. Confusing noun equals different name from the last calls. I know. That's the new name of confusing. It equals different. Just if it's a different name, it's confusing. You're confused. We're all confused now. You know. PS Vita was really underrated at its time. It is underrated. Game Boy Micro, yeah, one of those. I didn't have a Game Boy Micro. It was too small for my hands. I went to the store to test it out, and I'm like, this is just way too. I'm like playing it like a small fiddle. I'm like, this is way too small for my hands. I'm not buying it. I was confused when Wind Waker was revealed. Most parents call game systems Nintendo. Most parents don't. That's like an old thing that people have been saying now for 30 plus years. But in today's day, most parents don't actually do that. The parents of today are like my age or a bit older. Like the parents that are like the guys that are buying video games now. A lot of them are in their 30s and 40s and grew up with like the Nintendo, and they know what the names are. Believe it or not. I know, but people have been saying that for forever. People were saying that when I was a kid. People were saying that. People still aren't saying that now. No. Let's call a spade a spade. Some of these purposefully saying they're confused, especially with the Wii U. There was some of the people saying purposefully confused, but Nintendo did not do a great job, not do the best job that they could have of marketing that system. DSi was such a great upgrade from the normal DS. OG DS was bulky. Yeah, the DS Lite was actually even a way better upgrade too. So the DSi kind of like made the DS Lite even, it's a bit longer and a bit bigger. So it's definitely a better, device. It's a more sleek device than the DS Lite. But the DS Lite was incredible. It was tiny. It had a good, battery life overall. People really loved the redesign because the original DS was bulky. The DS Lite smoothed that baby out, you think, I never read your comment, Kakarot. You think Astral Chain, sorry about that, man. You think Astral Chain will get a free patch? Yes. You think you'll benefit from it? Yes. Thinking of getting it, if it gets some love? Yes. Astral Chain, I think Astral Chain will eventually get a free patch down the line. Yes. Yes, I do think so. Call it Nintendo World since Corruptible Gaming. Let's go. Sorry that I didn't answer your question beforehand, Kakarot. I'm sorry about that, bro. That was 6 minutes ago. I was supposed to answer it. I got kind of caught up in a conversation. But yes, I'll play some Astral Chain music for you too. How about that? Astral Chain Legion Assault. That's a great track. Is this the Curse of Darkness? Yeah, that was Curse of Darkness mode, Dark Knight. Yes, it was Curse of Darkness. From the DSi Pointless at the time, me at a 13-year-old new handheld was coming out sooner, 2009 to 2010. Whatever the DSi launched, saw no point. I think the DSi there was a big point. Actually, the big point of the DSi was to get the digital games in the eShop running. Remember, on the original DS, there was no eShop. There was no digital purchases. So the DSi was very important in getting that first legwork in for portable game, smaller game purchases. So that's why the DSi was a big upgrade for many people out there, because it did come with the eShop where you can download games digitally, DSi removed the GBA slot. It did remove the GBA slot, which definitely was not great. But at that time, I mean, pretty much people had already played all the GBA games that they wanted to play. So if you had a GBA, you had it. You could also get a GBA for super cheap. But yes, it did remove that GBA slot. I think it would have cost, the price per unit of making it would have cost too much with that GBA slot in there. And I don't think they could have made everything they wanted to make in there features wise, because it came with the camera, came with more RAM, faster memory speed. It wasn't just a DS. with a camera. They actually improved. The system was actually upgraded. It was stronger, but it needed the extra RAM and it needed the extra power so it can run the eShop. Do you see college football's coming to Switch 2 next year? I did not see college football coming to Switch 2 next year. I just saw Madden, but did they announce college football? I did not see that. I did not see that at all. Did not see that. Nope, I don't see any articles on it or anything, so I don't know if that's actually true. So yeah. EA teased their next basketball game. EA teased their next basketball game? Yeah, I would never be excited for an EA basketball game. Let's see here. Do you think we get a Switch 1 revision like we got the 2DS and the ooh, okay. Switch 1 revision. I don't think we're going to see any Switch 1 revisions. We already saw 2 of those. We actually saw 3 of those. Switch 1, the original. Switch 1 version 2. So that's 1 revision. Switch Lite, that's 2 revisions. Switch OLED, that's 3 revisions. So they already revised it 3 times. So I doubt we'll see another one. So yeah, I doubt we'll see another one. But you never know, right? You never know. We could see it. You know, we could see it. We could see another one. I already played this. Get to this next music over here. All right, here we go. Yeah, for me, consumer, the DSi games seem mediocre, and I still had GBA games, so the DSi store was meaningless. Yeah, and I get that, but what I'm saying, it was definitely not pointless, because once again, you had to get your eShop going. Like, that was something that a lot of developers wanted to do. So, like, nobody was really making GBA games anymore. Like, GBA was pretty much done by that point, so there was no point in even having the GBA. More developers were wanting them to do an actual way to like, make smaller games and, like, downloadable games. So that's the reason why it was a very important first step. Because that predated, well, portable wise, it didn't predate the the Wii eShop, but yeah, they needed to get that going. Do you think the OG Switch hits 150 million with the tariffs in effect? What tariffs? Oh, the Chinese tariffs? I mean, we would need to know the effect on the price. So, what would be the effect of the price on the system first? Do you think we get I say play some Nintendo with my kids, nephews, to get to their parents when they ask them if they're getting, if they are free, different country. Oh, okay. But your indie games are not existing without digital true. Yeah, well, at least Nintendo's pipeline for the indie games. I mean, they had the Wii eShop, but people wanted, the DS was significantly more popular than the Wii. Like, it sold 50 million plus units more than the Wii. So a lot of developers wanted them to make like a digital storefront for the DS so they can put out games, and cheaper games, so they don't have to actually put the games in stores. Because remember, there was no game key cards back then. If you put out a game physical, it'd have to be in the stores. So a lot of developers didn't have the money to make the physical cartridges, or they weren't going to spend that money. So they wanted a smaller way to be able to do different things like that. Plus, there was also a way to get, obviously get, like, you know, back, like, older games on the, download them digitally without having a physical copy of it. So it was definitely a super important system. The DSi was super important. It was a great system, in my opinion. I liked it a lot. But yes, having no GBA slot. But by then, a lot of people were just done playing GBA games. Let's see here. Well, Canada's Switch price is going up. I don't know if the Canada Switch price is going up because of tariffs. I don't know what the tariffs are on Canada right now, so I don't know if that's the reason why it's going up. There could be a variety of different, they said market conditions, so who knows what that means. So it could be, but I don't know what the effect of the tariffs would be on every place. So I can't sit there and I can't make a determination of how well it would sell or not when I don't know the prices of things. Yeah, he's saying retroactively, if the tariffs were in place beforehand, would it have sold that much? But I don't know what the effect of the price is going to be here in the US, or what it's going to, like, I don't know what the effect of the price is going to be, so I can't sit there and say that it would or wouldn't until I know the price, like, until I know how, is it like $20 more? No, probably not. It'd probably still just sell just as well. Is it $10 more? Is it, how much more is it, you know? That's what I'd have to know. There's not a blanket price for tariffs, right? There's not a blanket term for it. It's dependent on a lot of factors, you know? Let's see here. Deported with the $2 says, do you worry that your channel will be tariffed? My channel is tariffed. Oh my gosh, my channel is tariffed. It is tariffed already. For the stuff that I buy from China, that stuff's tariffed, man. It's definitely tariffed already. So it is. I think the DS and the 3DS have so many special editions and colors. The Switch and Switch 2 consoles look aesthetically boring. Well, there's definitely a lot of different types of special edition Switch 2 systems. So I don't know if you've seen all the different. There's not as many as the DS or the DS, but there's still a lot. I think the Tears of the Kingdom Switch looks awesome, or even like the Pokemon Switch looks super cool, or the Dragon Quest Switch looks awesome as well. Yes, and YouTube gets their cut as well. Yes, YouTube gets their cut. That $2 that the porter gave me, YouTube gets 30%. So YouTube gets what? Is that 30 cents out of there or something like that? So yes, YouTube gets their cut. China gets their cut whenever I buy things, when I import things from China. When I buy things offline, it's from China. The prices have went up for everything. So yes, I'm tariffed already, man. Amiibo got Amiibo tariffs. The Donkey Kong Amiibo, that got tariffed. I mean, I'm tariffed enough. I'm tariffed out. Let's see here. The one game that I wish was made a comeback is Sly Cooper. Never got to play it, but reminded me of Ratchet and Clank playstyle. It's a little bit different, but yeah. Check out Sly Cooper is super cheap, so just get a. I don't know if you have a PS3 that can play backwards compatible. Get like one of the early model PS2s if you can find those for a good price, or just buy a PS2. Just buy a PS2, buy some component cables, and hook it up and play, man. You can always just go straight up old school. Just bust out the PS2. You can get PS2s for cheap price. Buy a PS2, buy a PS2 and buy Sly Cooper, man. I think that there's also, I don't know if there's backwards compatible Sly Cooper on PS4 or PS5, though. I don't know about that, but yeah, just go old school. Oh, okay, PS5 has Sly Cooper, doesn't it? So there you go. I don't know if it does 100%. I haven't checked, but yeah. Do you think they'll add Star Fox Adventure to Nintendo Switch Online? Maybe one of these days, yeah. Don't forget DSP's cut, the King's Tax. Yes, you also have the King's Tax. Combo breaks. Double M says, do you have any idea when the Satisfy grip for the Switch 2 is going to ship? I think it's July, if I'm not correct. The game that kind of reminds me of Castlevania is The Last Faith. I don't know what that is. Excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. I do not know what I don't know what that is. I'll check it out, though. There's a lot of Castlevania-style games, though. Glad I can just go to JD and buy things from China. LOL, JD is basically China's own Amazon. Much better, in my opinion. I'll just order GameSir NES NS controller and paid much cheaper. Oh, nice, yeah. They also have Trilogy on PS3. One of the things they posted or they ported from the PS2. There you go. Also, do you plan to pick up any games during the summer sale? I pretty much have all the games I want, but I might make a video talking about the Nintendo summer sale. Let's look to see if there's anything that's like super cheap that I can pick up at this point. I'm gonna look through the list. I haven't taken too much time, sorry guys, to look through the list already, but let me see the summer sale. So I don't know if did I cover it? Now I'm through 7/9. Okay, July 9th. Okay. So the summer sale, what do we got here? We got Animal Crossing or Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Let's go, baby. Link's Awakening, Super Mario Odyssey, already have that. EA Sports FC 25. Luigi's Mansion 2 for 41. No. It Takes Two for 20. I already have that game physical. Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. Okay. Disney Dreamlight. Xenoblade, already have that. Sunderfolk. That is $40. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope for 15. Nintendo Switch Sports. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Monster Hunter Rise plus Sunbreak for $20. That's pretty good. Wow, that's a good deal. Monster Hunter Rise plus Sunbreak for $20. Shadow Generations. Oh, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 plus 2 Digital Deluxe Edition for $20. Cult of the Lamb for $12. Persona 5 Royal for $21. Doom Eternal for $10. I already have that game. Yakuza Kiwami for $13. Enter the Gungeon for $3.74. No More Heroes 3 for $25. Animal Crossing for $41. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for $41. Dragon Ball Fighters for $9.59. I think I already have that, though. TMNT Shredder's Revenge, I already have that. Freedom Wars for $30. That's not bad. Mega Man Battle Network. Ooh, Monster Hunter Stories Deluxe Collection. You get Monster Hunter Stories 1 and 2 for $40. That's not bad at all. I already have both. I already have 2 though, so I can't buy the bundle. The Plucky Squire, which is getting an update. I might pick up the Plucky Squire. Yeah, I might pick up the Plucky Squire for $21. That's not bad. Sonic Superstars for $28. Already have that. Disney's Illusion Island for $21. Not bad. Dark Souls, eh. Deadly Premonition 2, eh. Fashion Dreamer. SNK Heroines, no. Plants vs. Zombies for $8. I already have that game. Let's see here. Anton Blast for $15. Ori and the Definitive Edition, or Ori and the Blind Forest. I already have that as well for $6 though. 9 Souls for $21. Tetris Forever for $25. Ooh, Crash Bandicoot Crashiversary bundle for $40, and you get pretty much all the Crash Bandicoot games. That's not bad at all. Penny's Big Breakaway for $15. River City Girls for $20. Disco Elysium for $12. Super Bomberman R2 for $30. Yeah, I don't know. Probably like Plucky Squire. I think that's it. Yeah, Doom. You got Doom Eternal Deluxe Edition. Wait, is the Deluxe Edition better? It's only $17 for the digital Deluxe Edition. That's 75% off. So you might want to pick up that. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. That's $15 for that game. That's not bad. Not bad. Skyrim, Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim Anniversary Upgrade. Oh, that's $10. Okay, the upgrade. That's okay sale. It's not bad. Probably Penny's Big Breakaway. Penny's Big Breakaway and Plucky Squire will probably be the 2 games that I pick up. Yeah, those are probably going to be the... Oh, Metal Slug Tactics. I never really got around to that game. I just forgot about it because they kept on delaying it. That's $17. Might pick up Metal Slug Tactics for $17. That's not bad. So yeah, I might go with those 3. Plucky Squire seems like a game that I'm going to go with though. So, we'll see. Just got an email from Satisfy. They said the shipments will start at the end of July to the end of August. Gosh, yeah, that's why I haven't bought it. I mean, I want the Satisfy grip. That's what I want. I want the Satisfy grip. So, we'll see about that. Been waiting to get Nintendo Switch 1 physical copy of Hades 1. Never saw it for less than $50, so it got on sale at eShop for $8. I definitely saw Hades for like 20 something bucks at times, so I don't know, maybe you just missed it. Monster Rise is on sale with a lot sometimes for $10 with Sunbreak. Yeah, that's a deal. There's some good deals. So a ton of Switch 1 games that I need to pick up. Yeah. Well, people say that Nintendo never has sales on their first-party games because they're not like other developers putting their games on sale a lot more, I guess. I don't know. Just with 3.
Squire is now 60 FPS on Switch 2.
That's the reason why thank you for letting me know about that, because I figured that it got an update and I did kind of read about that. So that's why I was more interested in picking up Plucky Squire. But originally on the Switch 1, it was crusty. And I'm like, oh, come on, man. We got a crusty version of the Plucky Squire on Switch? Come on now. But the biggest thing was that it was too easy. It was way too easy of a game, but they just announced a challenge mode. Is kind of like a harder difficulty challenge mode, and they're actually doing some updates to the game. So now is the perfect time to pick up the Plucky Squire and then get the free update later, you know? So yeah. Also, Dave the Diver is a game that I'm going to look into as well, because there's a free Switch 2 upgrade, so I'm going to look into that game. So a few smaller games here and there that I can just play in bits and pieces, like when I watch Forensic Files, you know? Forensic Files, try it, guys, try it. If you have an LG TV, you get free channels, for those who don't know. So if you have an LG TV, you just turn on your TV, go to the home menu, and then just go to like the LG app, and there's a bunch of free channels that you can watch, like TV. you know, and Forensic Files is on there. So try Forensic Files and Switch 2, or Forensic Files in your Steam Deck, or Forensic Files your PS Portal, whatever, it doesn't matter. But try that combo. It makes it more engaging. I don't know. You're like, oh my god, why would they do that to her? Okay, I gotta do this. Like, it's a crazy combo, but it really works. It's like a goated combo, dude. It's a really good combo. You already saw all the Forensic Files 10 times over. I did, but sometimes I forget things. Like, I did watch the most recent, not the most recent, but a Forensic Files that I didn't remember was the Forensic Files where there was a family that, a dad and a mom that killed their daughter. And they were Middle Eastern, and the guy apparently had some ties to a terroristic group. So when the daughter died, they said, oh, well, she tried to fight against us. It was self-defense, you know? And they didn't have any really way of proving that. Yeah, the evidence looked sketchy. It didn't look like there was real defensive wounds. Obviously, it was fake cuts and all that. And like the autopsy showed that it wasn't self-defense. That clearly the girl was lying down and they were holding her. The mom was holding her, or somebody was holding her, and the person was, you know, stabbing. But they caught the murder on wiretap because the government, the FBI, already wiretapped their apartment. They already wiretapped them, you know, without anybody knowing. And so they actually caught the murder. What happened on the wiretap? It was crazy, and I totally forgot about that episode. So I watched that episode, I think it was Sunday. Yes, Sunday, yesterday. I watched it. I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy. They actually caught the murder on the wiretap. Like the noises and the girl pleading with their mom to say, tell him to stop because the dad did it. Oh my gosh, it was disgusting and it was brutal. It was crazy. So yeah, I have seen every Forensic Files episode, all the old versions, not the newest one, but I don't remember everything. That one I don't remember. Hey, what's up, V? Welcome. What is good? My mom watches Forensic Files all day long. Yeah, it's good. Forensic Files it's fantastic. You know, if you have a strong sense of justice, Forensic Files is good because so many people get away with things that they shouldn't get away with. But Forensic Files, they all get caught. So it makes you feel better that these people that do these heinous things get caught. A lot of them get, you know, life in prison or death sentence or whatever. So I have a pretty strong sense of justice. So I want to see people get caught for doing heinous things. So that's why I like Forensic Files too, which I've always had a strong sense of people shouldn't mess with other people. Don't touch, you know, you don't have the right to hurt people, like kill someone or anything like that. So, but Forensic Files kind of satisfies that, you know, for me to say, okay, these people, they're going to get caught. And I think that if people actually knew about Forensic Files more, I think people would commit less, you know, murders and less things because you do leave forensics all the time. The problem is that there's just not enough people working cases in order to solve everything. There's way more people than there are detectives. If we could somehow fund, you know, more detectives and fund more people working, they can probably solve a lot more. But the problem, there's just not enough people. And even when you do have evidence, you got to get the jury. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that kind of plays a part into it. So, fortunately, in reality, there's so many unsolved crimes. Yeah, there's a bazillion unsolved crimes. Like, it's actually way more, you know, like there's a lot of really bad unsolved crimes. But yeah, maybe one of these days we can actually get it to where, you know, there's enough people. But then again, it's not even just having enough people. You have to have the training. You have to make sure that you don't contaminate the crime scene. Like, so many murders are not solved, or so many things aren't solved because we have a mistake. We have a mistake. Somebody steps in something, or somebody doesn't seal up the crime scene. It gets cross-contaminated. Other people come in. Family members come. Like, it messes things up. So you have to make sure that you preserve everything very quickly. And you have to seal out the place and get everything preserved. If you don't, which, you know, sometimes happens, then your chances of solving it goes down dramatically, you know. So. But what's up, B? Welcome to the stream. Welcome.